I'm from Nigeria. I work with the Albino Foundation. And with me here, Kwame, he's from Ghana. We'll be doing the hosting together. So, Kwame, please say hi.
Hi, Collins. I'm glad the way you want to treat it. Welcome, everyone. Once again, my name is Kwame Andrews Daklo. I work from streaming live. Watch as well on Facebook. I work with Engage Now Africa, and I'm in the corporate office of Engage Now Africa streaming live. Earlier in the day, Engage Now Africa had a Facebook live where Persons With Albinism have a thorough discussion on the condition. This afternoon, we are going to listen to the experts, and they have all joined us already. Welcome, Dr. Angela Iboy and Ejewa Afra. We are all welcome here. I can see Polinique. Polinique is a researcher, and she's also here with her friend.
After that, the methodology will come. Then after that, we have the psychologist. After all these, we have a question answer section based on the skincare you want to ask about, or the psychological aspect of it you want to ask about. So please be free. At the end of it all, we hope to have a good time. So I hand over to Kwame to help us with the essential video on COVID-19 that person is on. Kwame, over to you.
All right, thank you, Collins, and thank you for stay glued to your phones, your computers, as we listen to the young girl educate us on COVID-19 and the protocols we are supposed to be taking.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can anybody hear me?
We can hear you.
My screen now, so
this is Orji speaking.
As I said earlier, we are live from Facebook, so others can watch us even when they are not able to join us from here.
Hello, Yellow.
Hi.
Let me put on my camera. Okay, good. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. Good to see you. Hello, Grace.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
I'm very
Good to see
well.
you.
Happy International Awareness Day.
Yes, same here. We seem to be waiting for others to join.
Hello, Collins.
Okay.
Hello, Collins. If you are here, if you can hear me, let me know if everything is clear.
Do we have a sewing machine in the house?
No, guys, I'm trying to position my chair.
Just wondering. I've been hearing that, so I was wondering if someone is trying to make us an outfit here today. Oh, dear. Grace, you look very good.
Thank you.
Oh,
You know, I love good things.
We all know that.
Oh, dear.
Hi, everyone. I don't know if you can hear me. Are you able to tell us what to expect? Are we starting soon? What time to start? I'm just concerned because of the time I have to leave.
I think I'm going to have an issue with the
Hello, I guess this is IK, right?
Yes, it is.
IK, good to see you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Good morning. Oh, good afternoon over there.
Yeah, my name is Tugo.
Okay.
You know me, we met in Senegal.
Yes, of course. How are you?
Good. I'm sorry once again for the delay. I will officially welcome everybody, those of us that are here now, while we try to sort out some issues in the background. You're all welcome.
Very good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Hello and welcome from Lagos, Nigeria. How are you?
Mezie is here.
And aside this, there are so many other challenges like discrimination.
Please go ahead, our host.
Today, good afternoon, IK. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. How are you all today? Good afternoon from Lagos, Nigeria.
You're well.
good afternoon.
I must sincerely apologize. I had some technical issues. I was hoping to get connected on, but I'm here, and let's just get the show started. Are we together?
This led to mass population of persons being infected all over the country, over the way it happened. Even in Nigeria here, we have so many things that persons with albinism as a result of a curse or a punishment melted on the family of that person who committed atrocities. So the thing that persons are living now do not last long, meaning they cannot live a long lifespan. And they also believe that the persons of albinism cannot work, cannot do anything at all, that they are very weak. I remember a time when I was walking down the street and someone came and put his hand on my foot and said, "Can you see me? Can you see me? Please don't go and fall inside the hole because over there." So they're studying this person. They think that we cannot see during the day, we can only see at night. They didn't know that there are so many things that makes us.
Hello, Mezie.
Hello, everyone.
So that's all these we're discussing today, basically. Discussing the rights, the human rights of it. I think there was a time when we did some.
Okay, my people, can you tell us what's going on? Just tell us a good estimate.
I think we're back now. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, it's from my end. All right. Okay, quickly, let's just get started. Would like to get started with a general background to why we're all here today. If we may proceed, as we all know, perhaps Ike would give that background in her own presentation. In 2014, the UN General Assembly resolved a resolution to celebrate, basically, to set aside a date to focus on the conversations with regards to the plights of persons with albinism across the world. And that resolution gave birth to the International Albinism Awareness Day, which we had the first celebration in 2015, and also led to the creation of the Office of the United Nations Independent Expert on the Enjoyment of Rights of Persons with Albinism. And we're glad to have Ms. Iposa Ero, who is serving in that capacity. It's been an amazing journey so far. It's a 6-year-long journey, which will be culminating next year. So it is upon that premise that we are gathered today to ask a foundation in Nigeria, supporting albinism awareness course to discuss along these lines. Basically, our focus today would be the theme of this year's International Albinism Awareness Day, which is Made to Shine, Reducing Inequalities, Tales from Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, to kickstart that conversation with us, I'd like to invite the Executive Director of the Onome Akinlolu Majaro Foundation, Onome Akinlolu Majaro, to give us her opening address of welcome. And then after that, we will take the address, the opening statements from IK as in her capacity as the UN independent expert. Onome, over to you, please.
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. We are really sorry for the delay and there was technical difficulties. We thank you all for joining us on behalf of the Onome Akinlolu Majaro Foundation. It is the 4th year that we are celebrating International Albinism Awareness Day. This year is different thanks to the pandemic, but we are all happy that you could join us here. We are truly grateful for the time and the opportunity you've given us to take you through this celebration for the next few hours. At OAM Foundation, we honestly do believe that kindness changes everything. And we ask everybody here, our attendees and our panelists, to remember to be kind to someone and to show love to a person living with albinism. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Was brief, straight to the point. Going on very well, we know he's the very high type and one who does like making speeches. Okay, so we'll get to a few minutes from now, but let's listen to IK. As we know, it's been 5 years in the mandate you have as the UN independent expert in terms of persons with albinism. Thank you to give us your opening statements. Tell us how it's been for you as an albinism awareness champion, one with the here and mentioning rights of persons with albinism generally, the rights of persons in vulnerable groups. Okay, over you.
Okay, thanks for that. I didn't really hear you. The line was a bit blurry. So if I'm saying things that are not quite on point, feel free to interrupt. And also, if I can ask colleagues to mute their microphones when they're not speaking. If you could mute your microphone when other people are speaking, yes, so that way you can hear each other as well. Thanks. So it's a pleasure to be here with you. And in fact, this was the only interview I took today because I'm supposed to be in a production. I ran out of the production to join you. That's how important I find this platform. It's how important I value the work that you're doing. I know all of you are champions in your own rights, and most of you I've met before. So I really wish to congratulate all your achievements. I know it's not easy to work as NGOs. It's not easy to do this work in albinism advocacy. So well done. Whatever you do is not will not go unrewarded. So I don't have a lot of time, unfortunately. So I'm going to keep it short and then take questions. I think this might be easier, unless you think it's not going to work. But I will try to keep my remarks to about 5 minutes. The International Albinism Awareness Day, as you know, was developed by the United Nations General Assembly in 2014. And this is a big thanks to Ambassador Yusuf Barry of Somalia, who championed the resolutions, because the UN, the way it functions is If you as an NGO has status and you go there and you do advocacy, you essentially need a country to take it for you and run with it at the last lap of the race. So the country that did that for us, believe it or not, was Somalia. And the ambassador from Somalia was very brilliant. He spoke 8 languages, and he was well known in the UN. He was a man of integrity. But he died 6 months after Albinism Day was established in a terrorist attack. So every Albinism Day, I do remember him, and I hope we all will remember him in gratitude. Died only in his 50s due to this terrorist attack. But what he did for us is something that we'll never forget. The theme this year was chosen for obvious reasons. There has been a lot of remarkable progress on this issue. In 1999, when some people started working on albinism, there was only 20 organizations across the world. Now, 20 years later, there's over 200 organizations of people, persons with albinism across the world. So that's rather incredible what has happened. Even I believe the OAM Foundation, from what I know, you're one of the ones who started in the last decade. Majority have started in the last decade, and that's very commendable. I'm very optimistic about the future of people with albinism. I think that we are going to see a big change in how people grow up compared to how most of us grew up. I grew up in Nigeria. I was born and raised in Ibadan, which is a city in the southwest of Nigeria. And I went to school there and also went to school in Benin. Many of you know the challenges people with albinism face in the classroom and all of that. I think these things will change and are changing. With your help, we will accelerate those changes. But very quickly, just an overview of what the mandate does. So the mandate was created in 2015 with the hope that it'll address the issue of the attacks against people with albinism. Many people know about the attacks already, and unfortunately, they are still going on. The last one was just 4 weeks ago. So this is a very high priority on the mandate, is to try to stop those attacks, and then also to try and work on all the other issues. So albinism is a multifaceted issue. It's also an issue where you find intersectionality between disability and color. It's also a matter of health. You have to protect people from skin cancer. It's a matter of non-discrimination in general on the basis of color. So we have to work on destigmatizing the condition. We have to do awareness raising. Most of you have done that. We also have to work on employment rights. Some of you have done that in your countries to access workplaces for people with albinism. And then there's also the situation of refugees with albinism. If you imagine people who are already refugees and you are a person with albinism in a refugee camp in East Africa, where now you're scared for your life because some people there could attack you, there's also that problem. All these multifaceted issues are addressed by human rights. They're addressable by human rights. And that's what I've been trying to do through this mandate, through the issuing of reports. Every year, 2 reports are done and presented at the General Assembly and also Human Rights Council. I strongly encourage you to read those reports. They are very easy, accessible language. If you don't like reading reports, they've been done in very accessible ways. And then wrote lots of recommendations in there that could then become some of the things you do through your organization. All of that is available online. So I'm getting to the end of the mandate. It's been 6 years on the mandate, and prior to that, 4 years working on the issue of people with albinism. And in fact, I was the one working with the ambassador from Somalia. I was still with Under the Same Sun, and I was working with him behind the scenes, writing all his speeches and writing the resolutions. So there's a lot of things that, a lot of history that I can share if you want. If you have any questions about that, or if you have any specific questions, I think I will be willing to take them so that I don't miss what is pressing, what is very important in your hearts right now that you want me to address in the remaining 5 or so minutes that I have with you. So I really thank you for inviting me here. Thanks.
Thank you very, very much, IK. That was quite brief, and I think it was good to firsthand the journey to ensuring that we have the International Albinism Awareness. Just before I put the floor open for the person to engage you in the conversation, I'd like to know, what was it like working in the background and transiting from working with Under the Same Sun? Is it easy for you to become the first UN independent expert?
Okay. Maybe I'll take more questions so that I'll answer all of them at once.
All right then. Okay, so the men and lady floor is open. Take questions as they come. Please kindly just signify by raising your hand, and then you will be recognized and allowed to ask your questions. Kindly make your questions short and spunky, you know, to the point that Ike can take as many as she can. We will take questions if there's any question. If there are any questions.
If there are not, I'll just maybe start by answering yours, and then if anybody else has questions, don't be scared. I have a serious face, doesn't mean I'm a serious person. But I'm sure people have questions they just maybe don't want to
very
ask.
Serious. You're always very serious.
Yes, I
have two. Newton, I see your hand. Newton, okay, go ahead, Newton, and ask your question.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, thanks for the opportunity. I just wanted to congratulate Ike for a yeoman's job done. But I just wanted to ask, since she has hinted that the mandate is ending, what's the way forward in regards to the work that she has started and other work and finished businesses? Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. Does the host want me to take that question and his question? I'll just go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
I think there is another one. There's an okay, Chidera. Sorry, Yalo, yes, raising a hand. Yalo, you are nice.
Hi guys, shout out to IK for doing a good job. I just have a question on the trans-border killing and kidnapping. Is there anything that you guys are looking at the trans-border, the killing and the kidnapping? Can you please share more light on that?
Okay.
Okay, let's take this first round, and then we will come back to
we'll do one more round. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, MC. We'll do one in the interest of time. We'll just do one more round after this, if there are any other questions, because they are waiting for me. You all know there's an online concert on albinism happening in 30 minutes. That's why I have to be there.
Of course. So we hope to join you soon.
Hopefully, well, I hope there will be time to join. Otherwise, you can watch it recorded later. Okay. So in the interest of time, I jump in. The background. What was it like? Working in the UN, being in the background and following the Somali ambassador around. It was very tough. A lot of people don't realize that it's not an easy process at the UN. And I remember many times we were not sleeping. We were chasing ambassadors all around. Sometimes they'll be asking for things at the last minute. And I remember writing. If you mute your microphones, the echoes will go away, I think.
It's from me. I'm trying to switch from. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Switzerland. People say, oh, you're in Geneva. Yes, I was in Geneva, but many times I was on the bathroom floor typing notes and typing resolutions that would be considered. So you had to be able to be sacrificial and not think about yourself. And that brings me even to this mandate as well. Many people don't know this, but this work I've volunteered. There is no pay on the mandate. You have to work pro bono. And so I'm able to survive based on indirect funding from previous employers. But aside from that, this work is pro bono. And that goes to Newton's question. At the end of next year, sometime around August, I will be done my 2 terms, my maximum 2 terms, and the mandate will then be reconsidered for renewal. Whether it's going to be renewed or not depends on many factors, including whether the UN has the financial capacity, because even though you are not paid as a mandate holder, you do have one UN staff supporting you, and that person requires funding. So they look at funding and they look at necessity. There's a whole bunch of factors. My guess is that they are likely to continue because this mandate was 100% supported by African countries. So whenever African countries unite to support a mandate, it is rare that it is objected to. So if that's the case, then you will see a posting, an ad for this position open up next year, sometime around March. So that's the way forward on that. If the mandate doesn't go forward or they're deciding against it, I will equally send out an email to everyone in case people want to push for it, keeping in mind that you'll have to make sure people get ready to make sure that they have people that they want to be in the position who could do a good job for them. On the question of trans-border killings, in some countries that's still happening. In a lot, it's slowed down or stopped, but we're not completely confident that the issue has disappeared because we have enough evidence to believe that it's like weeds. If you cut the weeds from the surface and you don't take out the roots, then it probably will grow again. So we've been cutting the surface and in some cases uprooting, but a lot of uprooting needs to be done. So we need to implement the regional action plan. There is a regional action plan on albinism. I invite you all to go and look at it. It's on actiononalbinism.org, actiononalbinism.org. And the regional action plan has specific measures in there that you can use as advocacy. The regional action plan is now an African Union policy. The AU adopted that this year after I worked with civil society for almost 4 years in developing that plan with UN agencies as well. So the AU has adopted it this year, and they are planning to also appoint an AU envoy from next year, hopefully, to help to implement this regional action plan. So I invite you all to look into that and also report what you're doing to that website so that they can monitor how the plan is being implemented. I believe I briefly answered all the questions. So
I apologize. Bumi has a question for you, please. Just one more person. Thank you.
Sure.
Bumi, can you hear me?
Hello, Ike. Thank you very much. From one Ibadan resident to another, thank you so much for the work that you're doing. I just have one quick question. Well, maybe it's a double-barreled question. It's first, are there any positive trends that we're seeing in albinism advocacy across the globe? And do you see any difference in the ways that albinism advocacy is taking place in, say, Western, the more developed countries as opposed to here in Africa? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Bumi. So I was about to sing Omo Badonkine Sore, but I realized I don't have time to sing the whole song. But I do much respect to that city. So the regional action plan is one of the biggest outcomes from the time in the mandate. Aside from that, this year we created the Global Albinism Alliance. So the Global Albinism Alliance is something that I pushed to start because we've had 2 alliances at the global level to date that didn't work. A lot of the reasons were resources, but also sometimes it's just people were not taking advantage of what they have. Sometimes I suppose we don't realize that we can do things even without money, as long as we're creative about it. So we have a Global Albinism Alliance now that is now in its pilot phase, which means they are testing. By February, I believe you all will get an email saying that they want to create a permanent structure, and then they will probably call for elections, probably going to happen on Zoom. And then they are also doing a survey from next week that you all will get, asking you what you want to see in the alliance. So one of the main reasons why I helped to create that alliance was I noticed that in the West, this goes to your other question, a lot of people with albinism are split into 2 main camps. The first camp is, I don't know what's happening in Africa. That doesn't concern me. My reality is very different, so I'm not going to do anything. The other camp is, oh my goodness, look at what is happening in Africa. I care about this, what can I do? And then there's, of course, the small minorities that don't take a position. But this is the 2 big camps I noticed. And it's been a huge challenge trying to convince some of them to do something. And I try to do that in Paris when we had the meeting this year, that look, you have to have solidarity. You may not have people attacking you, but you didn't choose where you were born, and a little bit of change would have put you right there in that situation. So you need to have solidarity. Things like solidarity and compassion in this regard is not always easy for people here because they become a religious atheist society. So things you take for granted like this solidarity is not always easy for a lot of people here to have. So we're hoping that this alliance will become a bridge that would, you know, close the gaps between people in the West and the East, North and South, no matter what's happening. And we can speak for each other as brothers and sisters and not me, I'm here, you are there. And which is even sadder because other movements such as women movement don't do that. I don't know why people with albinism are like this. And then also here in this part of the world, they tend to focus on the disabilities aspect because albinism has disabling aspects, like the vision impairment is a disability. And I know in some countries, even in Nigeria, it's not always clear that disability is something that happens. Nowadays, it has been defined since 2006 under the UN Convention on Disabilities as something that takes two elements. First, there must be an impairment. And if that impairment is not accommodated, it equals disability. So even people you see on the streets that have mental health issues, that's an impairment. There's no accommodation for them. Therefore, they are people with disabilities. So with this new definition, people with albinism, to the extent they have vision impairment or skin impairments being not accommodated with sunscreen and all that, it's a disability to that extent. But there's also an intersectionality with issues of color. And that's why I present it at the UN as a human rights issues with intersectional dimensions. So it's for this reason that I lost my thought for a second. Okay, so it's for this reason that the people in the West have been focusing a lot on disabilities because they don't have a color contrast. The majority of the population here is light skin or white. So they don't have that contrasting problem we have in Africa and Asia. So for them, they don't care about the color, the intersectionality as much. They care, but not too much. So we're getting there where there's a unity around the things that bind us and not this unity around the differences that we presumably have.
Okay, Ike, thank you very much for that. We have one more question from Ibalogun.
This has to be the last one. This has to be the last one. Yeah, but I promise we can do another Zoom another day if you want. Yeah.
Okay, he's asking if there's are there any information when it comes to assistive devices for persons with low vision in Africa?
Yes, there is. In fact, there's something that you might all know about. It's called the monocular. It's like the binocular, but with one lens. And that one lens can literally bring the blackboard to you. There are different strengths. So you have to be assessed by a low vision specialist as to what strength you require. If I had that in school when I was growing up in Nigeria, I wouldn't have been relying on a friend to take notes. A friend that was not always nice to me, but I had to be her friend so she can write notes for me from the board. That monocular is life-changing. I went to university in Canada and I was using the monocular in the classroom. And now with technology, it's even less needed because they can email you notes, and a lot of the blackboards are smart boards where you can, they can email the notes from the board, or you can take a picture with your iPad or iPhone. So the devices that I would say that Africa probably should be using more is this monocular, and in addition, glasses. We know glasses don't always correct completely, but they assist significantly in most cases. So getting the right glasses, getting a monocular. Monoculars, I think, can cost anywhere from $40 to $100. This is something you can demand of the government. As people with disabilities, once you are recognized that you have a disability, the government has an obligation under international law to supply you with devices. So if your organization goes to meet your state government and say, look, the students with albinism in the state require devices, they have the obligation to pay, and those students shouldn't be paying for it. The monocular, the glasses, sometimes even like phones that can take pictures of the board. So not to ask for too much, but if they can pay for smartphones for some of those students, these are all things that can transform people's learning opportunities, because it's not only about getting education, it's also about preventing death from skin cancer. Because when people don't get educated, they end up working outside, and then they get skin cancer too early, and this can kill people with albinism also too early.
Okay, Ike, thank you very much.
Thanks very much, everyone. Thanks very much.
Albinism Awareness Day. Thank you so much for all that you do. We're really grateful.
Thanks very much.
We'll have you some other time then.
Absolutely. Just buzz me. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you very much, Ike. Thank you.
So now may we have Bumi. Hi, Bumi.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Bumi is going to give us his a special. Bumi is our guest speaker. Bumi is a Nigerian. He's an amazing photographer. He is a humanitarian. And what else we love about Bumi? Bumi went to Harvard Law, so Bumi is like a boy genius. So Bumi, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Onome. And first of all, happy International Albinism Awareness Day to everyone celebrating this, to all our families and to all our friends, and to all who, just have a stake in this. Happy International Albinism Awareness Day. It's really, really exciting to see that we have a day that's specific to addressing and highlighting issues that face the albinism community. So let me first of all make a very brief introduction. My name is Olubunmi Adefisayo. I'm a citizen of Nigeria. I'm an educationist by vocation, a photographer by side hustle, aka, yeah, that's side hustle. And this really is the first the second time that I will be celebrating International Albinism Awareness Day since I became aware of it last year. And it's really, I've been following OAM Foundation and the great work that you all have been doing in advocating for people with albinism. So thank you so much, Onome. Thank you to all the team for inviting me. This is really a great pleasure. It's a real great pleasure to be here. So I was asked to give a keynote address, and I think one of the things I was struggling with was, what's the context for this? If you think about the theme, it's called Made to Shine. And I was initially struggling, what's the context for this? What's happening? So I had to take a pause and just look around the world and see what's happening in terms of people who are facing issues, people with albinism who are facing issues as well. So let me start with a personal story. I finished with my master's from the Harvard University Graduate School of Education in 2018. And I remember my second semester, in the second semester of my master's program, a friend of mine saw me reading a textbook. And in customary fashion with many of us with albinism, the text isn't accommodated to our eyesight. So she saw me squinting very deeply into the textbook. And the question she asked was, Bumi, why don't you go to the disability office and see how they can help you? And I will not lie, I was deeply offended by that statement. And I asked her, why would you think that I have a disability? What would give you that kind of impression? But she said, you know what, just give it a try. She was very patient with me. She said, you know what, just give it a try. Go to the disability office. You're clearly struggling with this. I struggled with the decision to go for about a week. After that, I went to the disability office, sat down with the director. I had my walls up in customary fashion, sat down with her. And then she first of all went on to explain what the disability was and how it was that the university could accommodate me. And so this is what they did. And I guess, a university like Harvard, they have so many resources. One, they gave me the option of having someone come into class and take notes for me. Two, they gave me, they took all my textbooks and enlarging them to like really huge print. So I have this huge pile of massive textbooks with massive font type with them. Three, they went to all the lecturers and told them of my condition, and all the lecturers before the class started had to have a printout in large font size of all the material that they would be teaching. And then 4, they made sure that, of course, I would sit, I took that initiative myself, but they made sure that I would sit in the front so I could see. And as much as possible, the lecturer, recognizing my disability, was able to accommodate that. And coming out of, I'm not sure how I could have left such an institution, such an academically rigorous institution, and successfully graduated with my degree. And it got me thinking that this is the context that many of us with albinism are facing across the world. We're talking about being made to shine. We're talking about being made to shine. And it got me thinking that, one, the issue of being made to shine actually comes, there are 2 parties that are involved. First, the first party is ourselves as people with albinism, right? We have the responsibility to search out what are our talents, what are gifts, what are those things that bring us passion. And let me say this, that a very encouraging trend that we're seeing is that the world is gradually moving away from physical labor, and we are celebrating achievements of the mind. And to me, this is where people with albinism really shine forth, where we have the opportunity to apply our minds. No longer do we have to be in the fields, working, or out there in labor. We can focus on enhancing the output that comes from our minds. So that's on the personal note. On the other note, we have people, our external parties, and I call the external parties, talking about our, first of all, talking to governments. Talking to government is that the government absolutely needs to recognize that people with albinism, one, yes, they do have a disability, but most importantly, we are citizens and we have the right to be fully functional in society. And so it's government has a part to play in ensuring that every one of its citizens is fully equipped to function to the maximum output that they can offer society. And so this comes to policies, putting policies in place, putting actions in place, not just policies. So one of the biggest challenges we have in Africa is that we have a ton of policies that are already enshrined in either our constitution or our laws. Our biggest issue has always been enforcement. So it's not enough for governments to say we've put a policy in place, but there has to be clear guidelines on how it will be enforced, and 2, ensure that that enforcement does take place and that there are accountability measures. So that's on the part of the government. On the part of other, say, the wider population, education is a huge, huge way that it's the only way actually that we can bring people to the awareness of, 1, what albinism is, 2, what it entails, and 3, how every citizen can be accommodated. And maybe this is being humanist. This is to say that everyone with albinism has the right to the full human experience. And when I say that, I mean everyone with albinism has the right to be able to express themselves to the maximum capability that they can. And so it's up to our other external stakeholders. I start with parents. Parents, for instance, love your children. I got a lot of love from home. I got a lot of mental stimulation. I got a lot of activities from my home that were tailored to me. So I was helped with sunscreen, with sun protective clothing, with eyeglasses. I got eyeglasses really early on, I think about nursery, when I was in nursery school. That was on the part of my parents. On the part of the wider society is to say, how is someone with albinism any different from anybody else, especially seeing as we are moving away from a labor-intensive economy to an economy that's more focused on stimulating the mind. And so I challenge everyone out there, when you come across someone with albinism, the first thing should not be pity. I don't want to be pitied. I don't think anybody wants to be pitied. The first thing should not be pity, but how do you take the time to understand the uniqueness of this person, to appreciate the uniqueness of everyone of anyone you come across with albinism, and to celebrate that uniqueness rather than looking down on it. And this is getting especially important when we think about the Black Lives Matter movement. We all saw the Black Lives Matter movement. I personally struggled a bit with it because I understood where they were coming from, but then I look at my reality and the things that I face. I'm like, well, yes, Black Lives Matter. There's a subset of people within that Black community that absolutely have been abandoned for the longest time. Their lives also matter. People with albinism, our lives also matter. And so when we think about, so what are some of the inequalities? I'm talking about some of the inequalities that many of us with people with albinism face. One, it comes with the conditions that we have, the poor eyesight. So we don't have access to be able to see, to things like driving. Many things that many people take for granted, things like driving, things like being in the classroom and seeing the board, anything to do with vision, we face that inequality of not being able to do that. And again, of course, our skin color prevents us, the lack of melanin prevents us from being able to take part in physical activities that many other people take part in. Unfortunately, what has happened is that because these issues have not been well recognized, they've not been widely talked about, what has happened is that people have, on the basis of our limitations, have placed a limitation on us, that all people with albinism. So because I couldn't see very well in school, my teachers would automatically just dismiss me and think that, well, he doesn't know anything. And even if I sat in front, right in front, still couldn't see the board, but there was very little accommodation for that. It wasn't until university I started to get that accommodation. Things like playing with my peer mates when they're out there in the field playing football or whatever, I couldn't take part to the extent that I would want to, because of course, within 10 minutes, I've gotten sunburn. But one thing I did notice that I had, that I focused on, and that I appreciated that the most influential teachers in my life focused on, my parents focused on it, my friends focused on it, was that there was this, I had this mind that could conceive and conceptualize artistic expressions. And so it wasn't, as I grew up, it was less about what I could do physically and more about what my mind could achieve, right? And so as we look across the globe, we see this with everyone. Anyone with albinism has that opportunity to also use their minds to be able to unlock the potential that we have within us. And so it's incumbent upon every aspect of society, from government, from parents, from friends, to rally round and say there's a special subset of people within our society that need to be catered to, not because they need to be pitied, but because they have talents and skills that the wider society can benefit from. And so as I kind of wrap up with this, I place a challenge to people with albinism, first of all. One, made to shine. Think, search deeply within yourself. Search deeply within yourself and uncover those things that you love doing that bring you joy and bring you passion. Believe me, those are the things that will take you forward in life. Two, do not dwell on self-pity, but focus on the results that you want to achieve. And I know it's hard because sometimes, at best, we get name calling. At worst, we are physically attacked. But let's us focus on the things that we can control, which is what we want to achieve for ourselves and our societies. And two, for other stakeholders or people, non-persons with albinism, is to recognize that, one, while albinism might be labeled a disability, it is in no way, shape, or form a call to pity. Rather, it's a call to empathy. Everyone, everywhere, every human has the right to full expression of who they are. If we close out a subset of our population we are missing out on such fantastic work that could benefit society as a whole. And so I've just given a very general introduction into the theme Made to Shine. And I'm looking forward to the conversations that will come from this. Let's go forward. Let's believe as people with albinism and as supporters of people with albinism. One, let's continue carrying the message across that there is a subset of people that we are here. Our voices need to be heard. Our voices cannot be silenced. Our voices should not be silenced because we have so much to offer. And all you have to do is look across the globe and you will see people with albinism doing fantastic work. I am proud to be a person with albinism. I don't think I would change it for anything. I don't miss not being able to play football. I value the gifts and the talents that I have, and I value the value that I've been able to offer people because I have taken the time to search out my gifts and my talents. And so as I close, I want to thank you once again. Happy International Albinism Awareness Day. We are absolutely thrilled to be able to celebrate this day with everyone. Have a great day ahead, everyone. Thank you so much. And Onome, with that said, over to you and Chimeze.
Thank you very much, Bumi. Thank you so much.
Hi, Bumi. Thank you so much for your speech. I can see in the comment section that people really love it and that you inspired them and you're speaking directly to them. So thank you so much for that. Does anyone have any question for Bumi? Should we take his questions now? Does anyone have any question in my panelist?
I think we should take all questions as they come.
As they come, okay.
I think we should take all questions as they come. Bumi said something about not missing playing football. I played football. In fact, I was called Oleg Lenko. If you remembered the 1990 World Cup between Cameroon and Russia, the guy who scored 5 goals in one World Cup match. But that's just the other side. Bumi, so in kickstarting the questions, there are lots of them on the comment section. Let's start with, what was it like for you, relationship-wise? Are you currently engaged, married? How, one of the things we say in Nigeria here, using the pidgin parlance, is that, say, I think them or albino them, not they marry. We know that Onome is married and has kids. Tell us, what was like relationship? Why we articulate other questions coming up?
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that happened is, of course, I grew up relatively shy and a bit retiring. So, okay, so let me give my status right now. So I'm engaged to be married in September, COVID permitting. Well,
wedding.
You have an invite. You have an open invite, but I'm engaged. So let me say this as a point of, one of the things that I remember a friend of mine telling me was that whoever would end up marrying or wanting to be in a relationship with me would have to be a very strong-minded, very independent-minded person. And so from hearing that, I kind of got, I guess you could say, I kind of relaxed and said, you know what, I'm going to continue trying to be the best I can be and showcase what I can do. And whoever comes along, I will be open-minded, because of course you get many people who would come, I've gotten in the past, people who would come for what they perceive you to be, right? But luckily, my fiance now, absolutely fantastic woman. It wasn't even a consideration for her, right? Her focus was on, where is this guy going? What can he do? And is there an and there was, you know, obviously an attraction there. And I think that this says the same for anybody who is currently in a strong relationship or has someone without, is that to that person, the fact that you have albinism is secondary to who you are as a person. So I would say, look, search for that kind of person. That's the kind of person that you need to be with for your self-esteem, and for, you know, helping you move forward in life. You need that person who, the fact that you have albinism is absolutely secondary. And that person is doing all they can to understand your condition and to assist you rather than,
okay,
you know, making fun of you or anything like that.
Okay, thank you. Let's quickly take another one. One here from Obi Yodao. And Daniel is asking, what moves could be made, you know, or is being made for a higher level of acceptance from the government angle? Let's take that and we'll continue with that.
Yeah, that's such a good question. So I know some of our other panel members are way more qualified to talk about this, but very generally, I could say that one of the moves being made is advocacy. The fact that the International Albinism Awareness Day was set up is already one positive move that has been made. The fact that the AU has adopted a regional action plan on albinism is very encouraging to see that at least governments have started to recognize and are talking about issues regarding people with albinism. So I think maybe, yes, there is a lot more. And I think that one of the things that we in the albinism community need to focus on is stronger engagement with government. Stronger engagement with government. Look within your network. Who do you know in government can influence in any small way and make the lives of people with albinism better? So we definitely do need stronger, more intentional government engagement and persistent engagement with the government, and not give up. Nobody owes us anything. Okay. We have to get what we have to get.
Indeed, it's not a pity party.
Okay.
Empathy is the major language here. We'll quickly throw open in the next 5 minutes, and if there are any more questions for Bumi, and then
hello?
we can take you know, the next item on the agenda. If there are any questions, someone is asking Bumi.
Yes.
Maisie, I think someone is asking a question. Someone keeps saying hello. I think it's Beadu Chapman. Can you confirm, please?
Okay, please go ahead.
Hello?
Questions.
Is everyone able to get me? Hello?
Yes,
is everyone able to get me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, that's good. I just want to say something about what Bumi is from saying.
Please tell us your. Your name and where you are contributing from.
Okay, my name is Baidon Chandipo. I'm coming from Zambia.
From Zambia.
Yes.
How is Lusaka?
Lusaka is fine. Yeah, so I'm Baidon Chandipo, a medical student at the University of Zambia, and I'm also a coordinator of Albinism Foundation of Zambia. I just want to say something about what Bumi is from saying. Actually, what Bumi is from saying is very much inspiring. It's a very good story. It has got a sense in it. And when fellow persons with albinism listen to what he said, they can get encouraged. Me, really, it's not a question, but I just want to say something, just a bit about just relating to my personal life, to Bumi's experience. Bumi explained about being mocked at school because of the short-sightedness. What I really encourage my fellow persons with albinism is we really need to believe in ourselves. And even the way we take ourselves, we should be very much courageous, because when you present yourself in a manner that you doubt yourself or in a manner of lowering yourself, even the people who are around you will start lowering you. So the first thing is supposed to start within you yourself. Because me, I remember when I was at school, I can give an example when I was at junior secondary level, grade 9. In my class, I was the only person with albinism. And because I knew myself that I'm short-sighted, I used to sit in front. Because I used to sit in front, no one knew that I was short-sighted in class, even the way I was presenting myself. No one cared about my condition because I had to suit the condition. I was just being me because I believe in myself that I'm just a human being, just like any other person. Then going to senior secondary level, I was also the only person with albinism at that particular school. And by the way, I'm having a record here in Zambia to go at the highest secondary school. I'm the first person with albinism to go to this particular school. And of course, when I reached at that particular school, I found a lot of intellectuals. So discrimination was not that much. The condition, it was accommodative. And I enjoyed my school life. But again, when I was at senior secondary level, the way I was presenting myself, no one knew, especially in my class, no one knew that I was short-sighted. Unless those people who have got the knowledge of albinism can tell that, okay, this guy is short-sighted. But the way I was presenting myself, sitting in front, whenever I'm not clear, trying to consult. So anyway, not just to waste time, I'm very much encouraged with what Bumi is
come
saying.
to you. By the way, we will come to you because there's a segment for you. So you understand. So that we can wrap up with Bumi and then come to the main panel conversation.
Okay, thank you.
You understand? Okay. So Bumi, back to you. There are questions actually. So please, maybe you could just touch on it. I know you said you have answered that particular question, but just so that the person who asked that question would feel we understand that the question has been addressed.
Okay, thank you so much. I think the question is that understanding that PWAs are visually impaired, what impact does that have on competitiveness, on formal work and academic grounds? I believe that was a question that you're referring to, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I guess, okay, let me say this. I'm struggling to understand the question a little bit. So maybe I'll phrase it in a way that I understand it, is that your visual impairment does indeed put you at a, and we shouldn't underestimate this, it puts you at a significant disadvantage. It puts you at a significant disadvantage.
I think it is that disadvantage that the person is asking for. What can we do about that disadvantage?
Yes, thank you. Okay, I'm assuming that this is a person who maybe doesn't have albinism. So you have to understand that by reason of the fact that we are so short-sighted, and I'm generalizing, not everyone with albinism has the same degree of short-sightedness. Some people can function. I, for instance, cannot function without my glasses, but some people can. People with albinisms can function very well. But in general, what that short-sightedness does is that it has, I'll state this in terms of schooling. So right from schooling, because you couldn't see the board, because I couldn't see the board, right? I was very far behind some of my mates who could see the board, right? Because there was a lot of foundational knowledge I missed out. So I had to wait until someone was kind enough to give me their notes, or the teacher would call on me and say, Bumi, answer this question, and I would be looking dumb because I couldn't even see the question. So, and of course, because the teacher doesn't understand the condition, they immediately believe that you're just dumb and you don't know what you're doing and you're dismissed. On the job, so when you grow up as an adult and you have this visual impairment thing, for simple things like people handing out paper to you to say, please, can you read this and comment? And you struggling with it, or someone saying, oh, can you look at my screen and tell me what you see on the computer, how I can change it? And you struggling, and then people, so because of that visual impairment, and there's an embarrassment attached to it, many of us don't want to say that I can't see it, right? Because of that embarrassment, we often come across as not being competent, not knowing what we're doing, whereas it's that we simply just cannot see. So if that accommodation to see things is made, I mean, now I have everything zoomed on my computer. I can write articles, I can do anything that anybody else can do because I've made that accommodation for my site. And I've also been careful to inform people that this is the problem and that this is the accommodation that needs to be made for me. Thank you.
Two quick questions. Sure. One
Yeah.
says, from an anonymous attendee anyways, why do you think PWAs would want to make someone rethink about their partner even if they find them perfect? I'm struggling to understand the question, but maybe you'd make a head out of it. Then the second one says, one says, there are things to ensure that people don't experience shaming and have access to adequate health care, particularly in Nigeria. Are there things that we need to do to ensure that PW don't experience shaming and also have access to quality healthcare in Nigeria? That's from Osetemega. That's from Osetemega asking that question. So,
Okay. So, Emeka, thank you very much. I think if I understand the question, you're asking that what can we do to avoid shame, right? Chimize, is that right? What can we do to avoid shame?
Yes, please.
Look, I'm going to say this, and when we get into the general panel session, I'm happy for my other analysts to answer, but shame is a personal feeling that you have. It's a thing that you have because someone has pointed out something about you that you probably don't like, you don't agree with, or you're embarrassed by. So to say that you can avoid shame, and I know this is very up in the air, it may sound philosophical, but you've got to strengthen yourself mentally. You've got to prepare yourself mentally for that, for knowing that you will come across situations that will call you out. But the response to that situation does not have to be shame. I call those, and with the West, they have a very great word for it. It's called microaggressions. Every day, people with albinism, at whatever strata of the economic ladder, face what you call microaggressions, which is you're walking down the street, someone calling out to you and pointing out to you, or a child running up to you and poking you, seeing if their color will rub off on you. They may not, that's called a microaggression. That's called the microaggression.
Okay.
We've got to mentally prepare ourselves. So every day when I go out, I kind of tell myself that, you know what, this might happen, but it's okay. It's that person's opinion. I'm fine with it. They have their opinion. It doesn't.
And they're entitled to their opinion.
And they're entitled to their opinion, and it doesn't affect who I am as a person. So if you come at it from that perspective, with time, it's not easy, but with time, you will build up mental defenses in your mind so that if those microaggressions come your way, you can brush them off easily. I hope that answers the question. I'm not sure if there's a second
Very
part
well.
to it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Perhaps when we get to the general conversation, we will talk more about, there's a particular question that someone asked, but I think it's a question for the panel to answer.
Sure.
Okay, final thoughts as we wrap up this session, Bumi. Quickly.
Yes.
Final thoughts from you on your session, on the topic, on your presentation.
Final thoughts. Final thoughts on me. One, I address this to everyone with people with albinism. Everyone, we have such amazing talents, such incredible skills. We have so much to offer. Do not be silenced. The world deserves your skills. It deserves your talents. It deserves who you are as a person. Do not deprive the world of who you are as a person because some people have said that you are in a box. Some people have put you in a box. We cannot afford that. You have too much to offer to the world. Look at people like Yellowman. Look at people like Ike. If she had been silenced, we would not be here today celebrating what we are celebrating. So do not be silenced. Two, to people who do not, to non-PWAs, do not silence us. Do not say because you don't understand the condition that it's something that you will not support. You don't have to understand what someone is going through to understand that that person is a human being and deserves every support and most importantly, empathy. So what we in the albinism community are asking from you people who are non-PWAs, you don't have albinism, is that work with us. Let's do this work together. Let's advocate for the rights of everyone to be human. Let's advocate for the rights for everyone to be human, to have full expression. And I believe you me, the entire society will benefit from this important work.
Thank you very much. We must very much thank Mr. Adebumi Adefisayo. I hope I got the Adebumi, but I like Ade.
It's Olu, but that's fine.
Olubumi, okay. All right. Thank you very much, Bumi, for that expose, for taking us through an amazing journey. And we hope that God willing and COVID allowing us, we would attend that wedding in September. We'll come and do the one there. All right. We thank everyone for joining. We can see you all those joining us on this amazing conversation that we're having as we celebrate the the 6th International Albinism Awareness Day, which was set aside on this day 5 years ago in 2015, but for which a resolution was put forward by the United Nations General Assembly in 2014. So for all of us just joining us, we've had, just before Bumi spoke, we had Ikmewosa Ero. She is the United Nations independent expert on the enjoyment of rights of persons with albinism. She has spoken to us. Onome Akinlolu Majaro, the executive director of OAM Foundation, has also spoken to us on the theme of our celebration today here in Nigeria. I've still got my panelists from across the world, and in a short while, you will meet them. But just before then, we will take a poetic rendition from, funny enough, maybe when you hear, he is a medical doctor, a scientist, an artist. You know, it's rare when you have one person combining both the sciences and the arts. He is a consultant obstetrician and gynecologist, a gender advocate, and a HIV and AIDS physician. His name is Dr. Bode Law Faliyimu. I hope I got that right. Bode, the floor is yours. Let's hear you.
Can you hear me, please, everybody?
Yes, we all can hear you. Welcome, Dr. Bode.
Thank you very much. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. And I want to first of all thank the OAM for the opportunity to be part of this laudable program. I've been well informed. I've been really, really well informed. I thought I know a lot before, but I think I'm learning more. Okay, let me go straight to the point, to the things I'm asked to do. I've been introduced, like they said, I'm Bode Law Faliyimu, and I'm a obstetrician gynecologist. I call myself a scientific artist, rather, not a scientist, a scientific artist. More of an artist, but using science, as it were. Okay, a gender advocate, and also HIV/AIDS physician. Serenade for My Albino Lover is actually a poem song which is a rainbow combination of spoken words, minted chants, attributive descriptive stanzas, and praise poetry, all combined in one. This poem song was exactly written about a year ago on the 16th of June, 2019, without knowing that there's going to be an IAD even for this year, as it were. And that's like 3 days after today. It is a special dedication to persons with albinism, especially on this International Albinism Awareness Day of 2020. Once again, I appreciate OAM Foundation and every other person that's been working hard for creating awareness and for making people to understand that albinism is not like a disease, as it were. And people should respect every person because it's a human rights issue, as it were.
Bode, sorry.
Yes,
Just
please.
before you continue, we would like to see you. People are asking that you switch on your video so we
My video is
enjoy
on. That's why I asked you before. Can you see my video is on?
We cannot see your video. Just please, perhaps I'm the one not looking, but go ahead. Hello, buddy. We're waiting, buddy.
I guess he's trying to fix his video.
Okay. All right. While we're waiting for Bode, but I think I can.
Can you see me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, please. I like your virtual background.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Ahead,
okay,
sir.
fine. This is what I wanted since morning. I've not been seeing anybody at all.
We can see you.
I think you promoted me to a panelist. That's why everybody can see me now.
Please go ahead.
Okay, I don't have to start all over anyway. I'll just start with the poem. I hope everybody heard me trying to appreciate OAM. Yeah, for this laudable program, as it were. Okay, and I said before that the title of this poem song is Serenade for My Albino Lover.
Okay.
Èrò ọjà olówó, jalolo, jalolo. Èrò ọjà ọlọ́mọ, jalolo, jalolo. Ta ló bá mi rí ààfin mi, jalolo, jalolo. Ààfin tó funfun bí owó, jalolo, jalolo. Ààfin tó mọ́lẹ̀ bí òṣùpá o, jalolo, jalolo. Ààfin tó rẹwà bí ìlẹ̀kẹ̀, jalolo, jalolo. God created her the cleanest and gave her a genetic beauty that transcends earthly negativity, despite the perception of color and challenges of a face and a faith. Leke leke bumi leke, eye àdàbà bumi leke o. Leke leke bumi leke, eye àdàbà bumi leke o. Ah. I created chants at midnight for my albino lover to serenade, and with her violet eyes, she scanned in ocular gyration my black olive face seductively, even as our hearts locked in trance. Aduke peperempe, peperempe. Aduke sugar, 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 sugar. Aduke Maradona, Maradona. She's an albino with feelings, an African without her melanin, a bride that glows in the night. And despite visual challenges, she sees kindness in my soul. Momi wololu. Femilo. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. If everyone can put their hands together for Dr. Bode, we would. Please a round of applause for Dr. Bode. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Bode. For all our friends, perhaps who may not understand Yoruba, he said it's a serenade to the albino lover. And it's like he said, a beautiful blend of praise chants, what the Yorubas would call oriki. If I'm correct, Dr. Bode, I hope I'm right. Okay, what the Yorubas would call oriki, and then blending it effortlessly with the words that comes from him. Indeed, very well said. It puts us in perspective, and then the conversations that we are having. We see your questions. The questions are interesting. But first, before we take your questions, it's time for me to bring in all, what do you call it? It's time for me to show you my panelists so that you can see what we are about to do. I have 8 of them from across Africa. They have been here waiting and then ready to go. Okay, so, well, I have glowing citations for all of them. First, all the way, we will go to, let me see, where should I go to? I've recently made new friends, so I'd like to start with my very wonderful friend from Kenya. It's time to meet ladies first, after men, of course, but we'll start with Grace. The lovely Grace Nzomo. I hope I pronounced that right, Grace.
Yes, you did. Thank you, Chimezi.
Grace is looking very graceful today. Where are you, in Mombasa or in Nairobi?
I am in Nairobi, the capital city. Yes.
Very well. So we have Grace. Grace, you've seen. Grace is a HR person. She is a HR business partner with the NCB Bank. I hope I got that right. NCBA Bank in Kenya.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Formerly, she was a programs officer with an albinism awareness organization in Kenya. And she will tell us a bit of herself when we start the conversations. I hope we are together, Grace.
Yes, we are.
We will move to Namibia. Iyalo, how are you? Good afternoon. Hello, Iyalo?
Hi.
Are you there?
I am here.
Oh, how are you, darling?
I'm good. How are you?
Ladies and gentlemen, meet Iyalo Namunjemba. I hope I got that right.
No. It's
okay,
Namunjebo. It's Namunjebo.
Oh, Namunjebo? Oh, okay.
Yes.
How is Windhoek today?
Oh, it's very cold. In fact, I have my heater on, but I'm surviving.
Okay. Iyalo is a board member, for the support in Namibia of albinism sufferers requiring assistance. She'd also tell us a bit of herself when we kickstart the session. Good to have you, Iyalo.
Thank you.
Let's switch over to Ghana and welcome on board Newton Kwamla Katseku. I hope I got that right, Charlie.
You got it right. They got it right.
Okay. Newton is the executive director, Ghana Association of Persons with Albinism. And Newton is also quite one of those very instructive in ensuring that we have the regional action plan from the African Union. He's telling us how it has progress. Welcome aboard, my brother.
Thank you very much for hosting me and being a part. Thank you very much for celebrating Persons with Albinism on this day and at this time.
Thank you. Another member of the panel is our own executive director, OAM Foundation. That's the Onome Akinlolu Majaro Foundation. Onome Akinlolu Majaro. Onome, thank you for organizing this forum for us to have this conversation, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Chimezi.
Okay. You've heard Olubumi Adefisayo, the man who gave us the keynote address. Bumi, how are you again?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Absolutely
thank you for
fantastic.
having us. Hey, you look different without the jacket now. Okay, do I have Bridget? Let's quickly switch to Tanzania. Bridget Alfred, are you with us? Hello, is Bridget here with us? Okay, I think while we try to get in touch with Dar es Salaam, we will go to Harare, where we have the beautiful Brenda. The name is amazing. I will try. If I bite my tongue, Brenda, please forgive me. Brenda, are you there? Okay.
Please unmute her.
I think everyone is, no one is muted. Is Brenda here?
Brenda, can you try unmuting your microphone?
Hello.
Brenda, are you here?
Here with you.
Hello, Brenda. How are you?
How are you?
I'm fine. So,
I'm glad you
tell us,
invite
how do you pronounce your other names?
Sorry?
How do you pronounce your names?
You can call me Brenda Mudzimu or my brr. Just say my brr. Yes.
Mudzimu is better, thank you. Okay,
Mudzimu, yes.
thank you. Am I live? Okay, and then my good friend from Zambia, Baido Chandipa, the coordinator of Albinism Foundation of Zambia. Hello, Bando. Hello, Baidon. How are you?
I think we've lost him.
Okay, so everyone, we would start when we have Bridget. We will continue. I have AGK OKK also. AGK OKK is in charge of legal and compliance at the OAM Foundation. Ugochukwu Orji is programs and logistics director at the OAM Foundation. Gentlemen and ladies,
hello everybody.
So you already know what we are looking at. The theme today is Made to Shine, Reducing Inequalities, Tales from Africa, and we'll be looking at PWA's SDGs and the disability question. I'd like to start. I will take 2 minutes opening statements quickly. I'll start with Grace and Zomo.
Okay, thank you, Chimezi, for this. Happy International Albinism Awareness Day to everyone. My name is Grace Momo, as I was introduced earlier. For me, International Albinism Awareness Day is an opportunity to declare solidarity with albinism and also strive to no one is left behind. That is also an SDG, so I'm very passionate about that. And then now with this year's theme, we are also celebrating the achievements and successes of people with albinism worldwide. And it is also a call to stand in solidarity with everyone else through their challenges, that is people with albinism and also everyone else. So I am very happy to be part of this panel and to have amazing conversations as we discuss what we are made to shine, any other themes surrounding albinism, how we can also partner together, because partnership is what helps us now go forward as a team and as one people.
Okay, thank you very much. That was short and straight to the point. We will take Iyalu. Opening statements, please. Iyalu?
Okay. Hi.
Yeah.
My name is Iyalo Namjebo. I'm from Namibia, like Jizi introduced me. I am happy to be here and celebrating International Albinism Awareness Day. I'm looking forward to engage everyone so we talk on the issues that are pertaining to albinism. And yeah, let's get the conversations going.
Okay, Thank you. Newton, let's hear you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity granted to me. I just wanted to use the opportunity to congratulate all persons with albinism globally, and then also salute those of our friends who has fallen short in the struggle for the commemoration of this day. I'm looking forward for a fruitful and healthy discussion that will promote equality, access to justice, and seeks to eliminate bad cultural practices within our territorial regions. On this note, it's good to join you.
Thank you very much, Newton. Let's take Bumi opening statements.
Hello, everyone. Hello once again. Thank you so much. Eager to be part of this very important conversation and eager to continue the work towards albinism advocacy, particularly for Black people with albinism. That's my main passion. All right, so I'm looking forward to the conversation. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much, Bumi. Onome, let's say opening statements.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for still being a part of this. For me, I'm looking forward to clarifying the myths and just talking about living with albinism generally. So, yeah.
Okay. Ugochukwu, let's hear.
Sorry. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I welcome you all to OAM Foundation's Zoom webinar to commemorate International Albinism Awareness Day 2020. It is my wish that as we come together to discuss and deliberate, we will find a lasting solution to so many questions and issues bordering on persons with albinism. You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen and ladies. Let's begin. Please, everyone is also a part of this conversation. You have questions, please send your questions and we will take them. You can address your question to any of the panelists, on the panel, and they'll be sure to get it. Now, I'm going to ask a general question to all my panelists, and we will start in the order with which we introduced ourselves. So we're starting with Grace. So Grace, we're going to look at it. Let's look at the general perceptions of PWAs, in Africa. Starting first with I'm talking to my panelists now, starting first with our individual countries. What is the perception of PWAs in Kenya, and what is the effort of the Kenyan government, towards helping PWAs to not just enjoy their rights, but to protect these rights?
Okay, thank you for that question, Chimezi. The perception of albinism in Kenya generally, I am grateful that we have come a long way in terms of creating awareness. It's not the same way it was 3 years or 5 years ago. 5 years ago, there will be a lot of discrimination because people didn't understand what albinism is and maybe didn't want to. But now with the power of technology and the internet, there's so much awareness about albinism, and also the way we celebrate every year International Albinism Awareness Day publicly. The society has been able to understand and also know more about albinism. So the status in Kenya is that, of course, there are gaps here and there, but we have come a long way in creating awareness. As far as the national government is concerned, there's a national body, National Council for Persons with Disability. Well, albinism is classified as a disability in Kenya. And under that umbrella of National Council for Persons with Disabilities, there is a wing dealing directly with albinism only. And there's a fund where people with albinism can be able to have access to education sponsorship. And once you are a member of that national body, you're able to also meet other people with albinism, have other meetings and all that. So as far as now sunscreen support is concerned, in every district hospital in Kenya, rather, there is a dermatologist there, and people with albinism are free to go and have their skin checked so that if there's any detection of cancer, the right steps can be taken. And also after seeing the dermatologist, they will be able to be given sunscreen afterwards. So that is really, really a good thing from the national government. And then also there's education sponsorship offered by National Council for Persons with Disabilities for people with albinism for primary education and secondary education up to degree level. So at least people who are struggling to fund their education can apply for that scholarship and they'll be able to be assisted. There are also various persons with albinism organizations in Kenya. To name a few, there is Dr. Choksi Albinism Foundation, there's AFAIR, there's Albinism Society of Kenya. So through those organizations, now they have been able to lobby to have more support from the government, and also they've been able to encourage more people with albinism to be confident in themselves, to understand the condition, because even me personally, when I was small, I really didn't understand why I'm white in this Black society. So through those organizations, they're able to help us people with albinism understand the condition and see how we can protect ourselves and also educate others, because if we don't understand about our condition, we're not able to tell the world how to accommodate us, how to help us, how to understand us. So that is a good initiative from the organizations.
Okay, so we see that there's a lot going on for PWAs in Kenya. We will come back to you. Let's take Yalu. Same question for you, Yalu. Hello, Yalu.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, we can.
Okay, I think perception differs because you would look at perception from a personal perception point of view or cultural, but in general, albinism has been recognized as a disability in Namibia, and we have been accorded the same benefits as any disability. So if it's a cultural perception, some people believe it's a curse when you have albinism, others believe it's a blessing. Of which the government has been working on to get away with the myth and do away with them. And if it's a personal perception, I feel those are your beliefs without the culture involved or without what society say. So the government has been doing a lot, like to meet our needs in terms of medical and educational needs. The government has really been doing a lot, and yeah, I think that's it with perception in Namibia.
Okay.
People are starting to accept, yeah.
Okay. Brenda, what's your take? Please unmute your screen.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. We can.
Can you?
Very well, we can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, yeah. As the Namibian lady said, perceptions differs according to one's country. In Zim, yes, there's still discrimination against persons with albinism, and there are some misconceptions. Like, for example, if you sleep with a person with albinism, you cure HIV and AIDS. You know,
okay.
If you die today in Zimbabwe, then you're going to wake up like as a ghost in Nigeria or somewhere. That's how
okay, that's interesting.
Yes,
Forgive me.
There are still some cultural beliefs, like an incident which recently happened sometime last year in January, saying it was a traditional healer who came out on national TV saying albinism it's just a way of witchcraft. If you give birth to someone with albinism, it means that your family members, one of your family members, is a witch.
you see. So there are more than 8 organizations in Zimbabwe which advocates for persons with albinism who are trying to get rid of those misconceptions. And government is playing its part to demystify those misconceptions, and albinism as well is regarded as disability, and we are under disability in Zimbabwe.
Okay, thank you. Newton, let's hear you.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to share in the same experiences that Yellow Man and then my colleague from Zimbabwe. Brenda, how are you? Shared.
I am fine, thank you.
It's been a while. We'll talk about that later.
Yes.
Perceptions is general. It's a general and very big. But if you wanted to look at it in different perspective, we say the perceptions of Ghanaian towards albinism has no difference in character and in traits with that of some parts in the eastern and in the southern part of Africa. Persons with albinism are being perceived as a misfortune to the society. Here in Ghana, they are perceived as a non-entity, no person in Ghana. They are perceived culturally as a bad omen. But in terms of their powers, magical powers, they believe that persons with albinism perform magic. So it comes across in a diverse way. I want to talk about the general perception as far as albinism is concerned in Ghana. Well, it's being regarded to some extent as a disability, but not to the fullest extent.
Okay.
So, but for Ghanaian government's perception about albinism, there's little to be said about that. Because though it's been recognized as a part of our disability, but it's not fully accepted in our society.
Okay, I was asked why, but we'll come to you later. I will take Bumi, same questions for you, and then we'll go to Ugo.
Okay.
Hello, Bumi.
Thank you very much. Of our nation. Yes. Can you hear me? I'm right here.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I think generally the perceptions of people with albinism in Nigeria is largely, it ranges from one dismissive to what I would term low-key hostility. We largely escaped the challenges that have been going on in East Africa with killings. People with albinism in Nigeria, it's not, so you don't have ritualists looking for people with albinism. The incidence is almost 0 to none, 0 to very minimal. I haven't heard of any cases recently, but just culturally and socially, people with albinism are viewed with pity. So pity is probably the overriding emotion or the overriding response to someone with albinism. It's someone to be pitied, someone who is less than others in many regards. And so I think maybe Onome and whoever else, Jude, can probably speak a bit more to that. And I should say that the treatment, by the time you go, so the treatment differs from by social class, right? So you have people with albinism who are at the top end of the social economic spectrum. You know, I would count myself as probably one of them, you know, because we come with clearer skin and we're not in the sun. We don't have,
you are the Ajebota type.
I don't know about that, but then you have people who were lower down in the socio-economic rung, who were exposed to the sun and have, you know, cancerous looking sores all over the body, and there's open hostility to such people and almost dismissive. So it's a very complicated issue in Nigeria. I'm not sure if it's the same in other African countries. It's complicated, and your socioeconomic class largely determines the treatment that you will get as a person
Ugo
without.
will give us a perspective. Just before that, Grace, in fact, to the ladies, I will take about 30 seconds, for all your, so while you prepare your responses to us, all the ladies, we mentioned about skincare.
Yeah.
We will come to skincare. Then let's see to God's gift to girls.
and he goes there. He tries to go there. Perceptions about persons with albinism in Nigeria. We know Nigeria is a multicultural country. And from experience, I've come to discover that different cultures have their perceptions of persons with albinism. Apart from the social class issue, cultural-wise, people see persons with albinism differently. Like Bumi will attest to this, if you come to the western part of Nigeria, they have more myths surrounding persons with albinism than if you go to the eastern part of Nigeria. That is what I have observed. Like, I grew up in the western part, I grew up in Lagos, and this is where you find myths like persons with albinism shouldn't eat salt. Myths like parents who give birth to persons with albinism made love when the sun is very high. Or you hear myths like from the girls, they say persons with albinism, men with albinism are not strong in bed. Well, they got it wrong. So, cultural.
Please focus, please.
I'm focused. These are the realities, my dear. I'm focused. So, culturally, perceptions differ. In the eastern part of Nigeria, they see persons with albinism as white people, like the term Onyocha. Onyocha means white man. That is all you get. Unlike when you come to the western part, you hear names like Owore. Owore this is money. There's this belief that persons with albinism can help generate money. They are good, they good fortune. Now, I don't know about the ritual part. Yes. Now, I don't know about the ritual part. I've not heard cases of body parts being used, but there's this general notion that persons with albinism, apart from them being seen as deities, they also bring good luck. They can help you generate money. So that is just it. And for the government of Nigeria, the issue of disability or no disability comes to play. We have two schools of thought. Some believe they are disabled while others don't. But some state governments found out ways of integrating persons with albinism.
We will come to the disability issue, Ugo. Just hold on. Onome, if Onome would, okay. Now this question is for all the ladies, on my panel. Let's talk about skincare. And there's been a lot. People say that one of the myths is that PWs have a very smelly, body odor or something like that, and then they are not approachable or what have you. Let's start with Grace. You look amazingly beautiful, sincerely, and so are all the ladies on the panel. Let's start. What is your ideal skincare regimen?
What I'll tell everyone with albinism, whether it's a lady or a man, our biggest problem is the sun. Once you avoid the sun, that's it, first of all. So avoid the sun at all costs. And if you have to go out and it's very sunny, please wear a hat. please wear long-sleeved clothing. But if you avoid the sun, that is the biggest thing you can do for your skin. Your skin will thank you for it. After that, of course, sunscreen is very important, but sunscreen is not, you have to keep on applying and reapplying every hour. So if you apply in the morning and then you think that when you go out into the afternoon outside, you'll still be fine, that is not effective. So that's why you just have to avoid the sun at all times and wear a hat, use sunscreen, and know your skin type. I know my skin type is very oily, so I will use products for oily skin. So knowing your skin tone is very important, that you use the products that are very important for your skin, and not something so harsh, because since our skin is very light and if you use something harsh, it will really blow out. It will be very easy to see when it affects you very much, because you'll just become red like a tomato. So don't use anything your skin, because it will really backfire on you. And yeah, know your skin type, avoid the sun, use the right products for your skin. Very important. Just know yourself. Yeah. And we are all different.
Brenda,
What works for me might not work for anyone else.
Okay, thank you very much, Grace. Brenda? Same question. Skincare.
Okay. Skincare. Those are the myths, like what you have said, that persons with albinism are smelly, they are what, but that's a lie, because everybody can just smell. And for your own information, we have like odor, as you all know, but you just have to, for example, you know that we can be exposed to cancer more than anyone else, especially with albinism, because of lack of melanin. So you should avoid like taking yourself every time to the sun, and you should always wear a hat. And if you don't want a hat, we know that some people with albinism, you know, they are our princesses, our queen, they want to be seen out there, you know. So I think what you can do is to take umbrella. If you've got like a very nice hairstyle, you feel like you don't want to wear something, people, we are people just like anyone else, and we have to be seen. So you just have to take your umbrella, your nice umbrella, then long sleeved clothes, so that you cannot be exposed to skin cancer. The other thing is like some people believe that they have allergy like to the skin and everything, especially with albinism, which should not take this kind of food. No, that's a lie. Anyone can have an allergy to anything, but albinism is just lack of melanin. So I believe that it depends. If you know that you can't eat fish, now you can stop eating fish, because you know you can react a lot. Like me, I used to be so naughty. I should not eat fish, but even now, sometimes I can eat fish because, you know, I like fish. But sometimes you can see it can affect you. So it's better for you to avoid like those kind of things, which you know that they can affect. And the things to people with albinism about your skincare. I have someone who came to my office, right, saying somebody said you should take a fly because I'm having a small wound, so you can put it there on the wound. But now the wound is becoming very big, because how can you put dirty on the wound instead of going to the dermatologist and, you know, for skincare? So I can say, please off your skin, especially with albinism.
Some questions for you, and then we have some pending questions from our attendees.
So for me, basically, I am privileged. So I would say, I know it's not easy for every person living with albinism to avoid the sun. I know people have to hustle and work hard. When I was in school, they used to call me umbrella girl. I'm always on my umbrella. I'm always with my skin from the sun. I'm always under a shade. I'm always in a car. Our skin will be beautiful. The myth that I feel in jail in Nigeria that albinos do not take salt, that's not true. I mean, I eat salt in my food. Just basically take care of your skin, moisturize your skin, use regular soap, take a shower, use deodorants, use perfumes. But the most important thing for any person living with albinism to avoid is the sun. The sun is our enemy. Oh, and insect bites. Try not to allow insects bite you. Try to avoid scratches. Just try your very best to keep your skin, because
Just text, I'll get the text.
the biggest problem is albinos are prone to skin cancer thanks to the fact that we do not have melanin.
Thank you. Yalo, same question quickly. 30 seconds.
Skincare. Okay, firstly, before I went through my puberty, people used to tell me people with albinism are immune to acne, like having pimples in the face, until I went through my puberty age, and that's when I realized that it wasn't true. Other than that, I use the same routine everybody uses. You apply your sunscreen, you wear protective clothes, and just keep away from the sun. So yeah.
Okay. And gentlemen, anyone want to share their skincare regimen? Newton, you want to speak on this?
Yes, thank you very much for
your advice.
Yes. Yes, as they rightly put, it is very good to take care of your skin. And here in Ghana, the most effective way of taking care of our skin is the use of the shea butter, which is a very locally manufactured, prepared pomade that they use, which is very effective and it absorbs heat from the body. And it also protects the skin from a sunburn. Again, it's also the use of advocacy strategy as to educate members of a person or parents with children with albinism on how important is it to protect the skin of their children. By so doing, it takes away the superstitious way of protecting the skin. I will share an interesting story that a parent with a child with albinism, the parent was asked to smear a red oil on the body of the child and then put the child under the scorching sun in order for the skin to be well protected. Because it's realized that's a superstitious way of protecting the skin. So it is very good to take good care of your skin, to moisturize it frequently. But if you don't have the means to buy the sun care products, as in the means of some of the communities, you can adopt the locally produced and a safe way of protecting yourself by putting off long cover clothes and then using the locally prepared pomades. Thank you.
Okay. Now let's delve to the serious matters. I have pending questions. I'm going to throw them open. Any of the panelists. I'll give a background. Two questions, basically. One from Nicole Akubweze. She says, I guess she's from Nigeria. Being classified as a disabled person in your country, do you feel you are disabled? One, that's from Nicole. Then, okay, Monica, okay, from Monica Rimi. She says, that's adding to what Nicole said. The Disability Discrimination Act, DDA, defines a disabled person as someone who has a physical or mental impairment that has a substantial and long-term adverse effect on his or her ability to carry out normal day-to-day activities. And albinism doesn't fall in there. How are you now considered disabled? Gentlemen and ladies, let's break this table. Who wants to go first?
Okay, I can start. Based on that very definition, that a disability is something which impairs you from, it basically limits you from performing things normally like everyone else. And as IK told us earlier, albinism has a disability factor in terms of eyesight and also from our skin. In terms of eyesight, we cannot see, we are short-sighted or long-sighted depending on our different acuity. And also we have myopia, and we have astigmatism. Myopia when we can't see things so well because our eyes are too busy just trying to get their focus. So that in itself disables us. And that's why we fall in that disability group to some extent. And also because of our skin, our lack of melanin limits us, because melanin has a very important function in terms of absorbing the UV rays from the sun. and we cannot stay for long periods in the sunlight without having protective gear like sunscreen or wearing long-sleeved clothing. So that limits us from interacting with people like we'd love to also interact with people who like football, people like me who love swimming. I really have to choose the time that I have to go for swimming because I can't go in the afternoon when everyone else wants to go. So that classifies me as a person with a disability to some extent, but not totally. Otherwise, we can do everything else like normal people, but as far as our eyesight and our skin sensitivity is concerned, that's why we fall into that bracket of a disability.
Okay, that's a good perspective. What more perspective, Newton? Yes.
Yes, thank you very much. Based on the definition that they themselves have quoted, when we describe or define disability as either temporal or permanent impairment, then we can confidently classify albinism as part of the disability fraternity. Why do I say so? Looking at the background that Grace gave and the examples that she has cited, looking at the dynamics that we have in our various conditions and normal day life, we are very immune to the normal dealings of our life. Yes, I like football. I'm a sports person. But if I dare play under the scorching sun, even at a mild weather, the following 3 days, my body might be either in the morgue or I'll be disfigured. So that prevents me from carrying out a normal daily life. And it impairs me, puts me to a tight corner where I should conform to that new normal. So yes, persons with albinism cannot run away from the disability category. It takes a concerted effort to educate our public to accept that even impairment legally, medically, when you're a child with albinism, medically you are described as a legally blind person. When you're legally blind, what does it mean? You are having an impairment. What impairment also it defines your inability to function and function properly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, more contributions? Anyone else? Bumi, Yalo, Brenda, Onome, Ejike, Ugochukwu, what are your thoughts on this?
Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much. This is Bumi. So I understand where that question is coming from, because I myself also struggled with understanding whether or not it was until I was presented in school while doing my master's that I came to the full realization that yes, I do have a disability. And I think, and let me quickly say this, I think that is a bit of a dangerous mindset to have, to say that someone, because what happens is that people see us functioning. They see us walking and moving. And because we have such a narrow definition, many people have a very narrow definition of what disability is. They always assume that it's someone who has some kind of debilitating condition, such as the loss of a limb or loss of sight.
Physical disability.
Yes, but what you have to consider,
physical deformity, rather, sorry.
Exactly, some kind of physical deformity. So what I would encourage anyone to do is that look up the definition by the WHO of what disability is. I was trying to pull that up. So what one key dimension is that examples of impairment, and the WHO mentions this clearly, an impairment, I will encourage anyone to look at the definition. Anything that impairs you, any condition that you have that impairs you from fully functioning in the way other people with normal sight, for instance, can do, is considered a disability. Most people with albinism have 20 to 100 vision, meaning that what a normal sighted person can see at 100 or 200 meters, a person with albinism has to be 20 meters to that object to be able to see it. So that in itself constitutes an impairment. So what I would encourage anyone, look, listen, you don't have to take my word for it. What I would encourage, look up the UN definition of disability, look up the WHO definition of disability. Even the Disability Discrimination Act that was referenced by the original question has actually been, and I'm guessing that person is from the UK, that act has actually been replaced by the Equality Act, right? So I would encourage you, look up the definition of the disability from those three sources. One, the UN, two, the WHO, and for that person who quoted the DDA, look up the history of the DDA. It has been replaced and has been updated, and you can see the clear definition of what a disability is. We're not trying to be, and let me just, sorry, I don't want to take up too much time, but it's not to say that we're being defensive about this. It's to say that there are many times I wish I could take out my eyes and give them to someone who doesn't have albinism, for that person to fully understand how bad it is. Or there are many times I wish I could take my sunburn and rub it on someone and say,
so the person will have a feel of it.
Yes, just have a feel of what just 10 minutes in unprotected in the sun can do to me. Just have a feel of that. And then let's have the conversation about whether or not you think it should be considered a disability. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Yalo, you wanted to say something? Just before we move to the next question, I have questions pouring in their torrents.
Okay, Namibia has recognized albinism as a disability, basing it on two factors, which is the sight and the skin. And when we do our census in Namibia, some people don't like to be categorized as people with albinism. So I would refer them to what Bumi said. Next time when we have the census, I will tell them that they should look up the definition first. So we've come to realize that we needed extra assistance with the services that we limited to, like any other person with melanin. So that's why Namibia has recognized albinism as a disability. And I think most of us are accepting of it. It could be because of the benefit, and it also could be because we have accepted that we have low vision in our skin. So I think we are accepting of the word disability in Namibia, which is really okay.
All right. So,
hello.
Yes, please.
I want to say something.
Please go ahead.
To say something. Okay. In terms of disability, I'm not going against anyone or anything, but when you're talking about disability in albinism, I think, and I wish these people who have put that because of impaired vision, people with albinism have disability. Honestly speaking, as a registered general nurse, I go against that, because if it means that every person with albinism have a disability about short eyesight, it means that 3/4 of the whole world has disability, because most of people, whether zero melanin, whether full melanin, most of people have poor eyesight, impaired vision. So that one, I always ask myself. So about the skin, yes, I say albinism is a medical condition, but I'm not saying yet. I understand that we should be put in the categories of persons with disabilities, because it's easier for government to solve those issues. Like they can't categorize kuti albinism is there, then disability is there. It will be a lot of things. That's why maybe they've put us like under the disability, so that they won't they won't be overwhelmed by a lot of work. But albinism is, for me, that it's a medical condition, and if it is categorized as eyesight, as poor eyesight, it means that 3/4 of the world has disability.
I tend to align with you, Brenda, because yes, much as Bumi and Newton and perhaps Grace would give compelling arguments with the yes, you give compelling arguments with
we're giving compelling arguments.
Yes, you're giving compelling arguments.
Yeah.
I stand with Brenda's because if you say perhaps there are certain issues with acuity, you understand, and as Grace would say, it's not also generic. Yes, PWAs have issues with visuals, acuity, visual acuity. But it's not, my younger brother has never, is a PWA. He will be 31 this year in August. Never for once has he worn a pair of eyeglasses. Never for once. I have changed more than 12 in my lifetime. Do you understand? His eyesight are stronger. So would we say, if we're going by that definition that has been changed to, why are we even having these various nomenclature? That's why we're having this comment, the DDA, Equality Act, and what have you. In line with the SDGs now, this brings us within the realm of the SDGs. Newton and Brendan, you have this history with the African Union. We are looking at Agenda 2063. We are about 7 years down the line. In 7 years gone, 43 years to go with the question of Agenda 2063. We're in the decade of action for the SDGs, 10 years, to achieving the SDGs. Looking at it in line with PWAs, would you say that PWAs are adequately catered for, both in the Agenda 2063 documents, which the Regional Action Plan for Albinism that was recently developed, perhaps is a product of, and then the SDGs? Are we properly catered for in terms of promoting equality?
Thank you very much, moderator, for that question. It's a very thought-provoking in a way, but I will try as much as possible to be very diplomatic in answering this very question for the purpose of education. And thankfully, Brenda is also on the other side to also contribute to the development. Yes, let me start with the SDG and whether it's been catered for issues of albinism. I would say yes, the SDG has equally and maximally protect persons with albinism. Reading the SDGs from goal 1 to the final goal, even goal 17, there are provisions that are made that protect and promote issues of albinism. Not necessarily mentioning albinism, but it has across all spheres of life of which albinism fits into. Even the center point of this SDG comes with a slogan that leaving no one behind, even starting with the federals first. So looking at this, taking inspiration from this slogan, the federals first, those who were left behind during the Millennium Challenge, Millennium MDG, have been brought forward for the purpose of promoting and protecting their rights. And the SDG, the spirit around the SDG is to protect the human rights of all persons with albinism. I've taken my time to read through all the goals and their actions. I'm happy to inform that the goal, being its usefulness, has a specific action and target that needs to be achieved. So if you take the goal into totality, let's concentrate on goal 5, gender equality. It has provisions for disability in general, of which albinism is fixed into. If you take health into consideration, it has a provision for albinism, disability and albinism in terms of health. Linking this goal to the Regional Action Plan, RAP, I can tell you for a fact that each and every action that is being developed by the Regional Action Plan team with very much instrumentality from United Nations expert on albinism, takes into account every goal that's enshrined in the SDG. And I can also tell you that we have linked all the actions to a specific goal. For instance, if you talk about intersectionality, it cuts across all the goals from goal 1 to goal 16, and if anything, goal 17. So the SDG and the regional action plan are one document altogether, just to link it to have one to serve as an advocacy tool for persons with albinism in the sub-region and then globally. I will not be surprised if the United Nations or any other the European countries will start adopting or taking the regional action plan that we have developed in Africa here into account. These are some of the reasons why the Global Albinism Alliance is being formed, to globalize the actions and link it to the goals, the SDGs that we have. This is what I can say for now, and I will ask Brenda to continue from there.
Brendan, over to you.
Hello?
Go ahead. Hello, Brendan, go ahead. Please put on your, unmute your mic. Hello? Brendan? Okay, while we wait for Brendan, any other person wants to make a Grace? Do you comment on the question? Yalo?
Was your question on the SDGs, Jeezy?
Yes.
Okay. From my personal, I feel we are protected under the SDGs because I managed to read some of the goals, not the whole document, but yeah, from the ones I read, I feel we are protected because by virtue of fact, we have been recognized as a disability. So all the goals that are linked to the SDGs will automatically apply to every person with disability. So and those goals that are stated in the SDGs are clear guidance to how people with albinism should be catered for and how to face all the challenges that we face. So I think we are protected under the SDG goals.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Brandon, are you back? Or Grace, are you ready?
Yes. Well, all the 17 SDGs are they're really amazing. So I'll really focus on 2, which really speak to me. And one is that on SDG number 4, access to quality education, which calls for eliminating gender disparities in education and creating safe and gender-sensitive learning environments. So this means that for us as persons with albinism, we must also make sure that our learning environment is attuned to our needs, and that SDG actually just calls for that understanding and empathy from the education and the education structure and all policymakers in that sense. But despite that, at least in Africa, sadly, because we're still developing, there's a lot of gaps in terms of infrastructure and facilities to provide that effective learning environment. And I think with the growing awareness about albinism and what our ideal learning environment should be, we are going in the right direction. Another SDG that really is close to my heart is SDG 18, Partnership for Goals. We cannot do anything without being partnering with the right institutions. So partnering with learning institutions, policymakers, the government to create that environment that we want to thrive in is very important. So yes, at least that provision is there. It's just a matter of now acting on it.
Bumi, comments?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So I think, again, my passion and education is with SDG 4. I think
education.
Yes. So I think what has happened is the SDGs do clearly lay out allowances for person, whether you want to say we have a disability impairment or whatever term you want to use, it does accommodate, all STDs do accommodate to some extent. The problem I have is in the implementation. The implementation in, particularly in the African context, right? At least I can speak for Nigeria and I can speak for parts of West Africa, for a large part of Africa, been saying that the implementation of ensuring that people with albinism have the accommodations necessary to function like any normal person, we don't see that being taken into effect. If you look at our schools, for instance, most of our schools don't even for people who have quote unquote clear disabilities like handicaps with their inability to walk, such people don't even have wheelchair accessible ramps. Our schools are not built for that. And so people with albinism will always continue until we focus on implementation. It's fine to have the goals. The goals are very clearly defined. The regional, if you read through the regional action plan on albinism, it's impressive. Very clearly defined targets, milestones, actions that need to be taken. But my challenge is that they do not seem to be implemented. Until we focus on implementation, we will keep on having beautiful documents, well written, well discussed, but until we focus on actual implementation, those documents will just remain beautiful in concept, but ugly in practice.
Indeed, deep words, beautiful in context, ugly in, okay.
Okay, can I have a suggestion?
Yes, quickly.
Okay. Yes, I just wanted to side with the just next speaker, but implementation is key to achieving our goal. That is why it is very important on our side as an albinism organizations to adapt and domesticate the regional action plan, which has a link to the goals, in order to tie government and other stakeholders to what specific needs that we want them to do. So let us also look around. Yes, but some countries have started on that note. I can speak for instance, in Ghana here, there's what we call inclusive education policy, which is being put in place to bridge the gap and then to leverage the status quo. But how effective is that being implemented? So it is incumbent on us as an advocacy group to step forward and call for proper implementation and follow the implementation through to the letter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Newton. Okay. Educate. Are you with us? Educate. Okay. So Educate, tell us. You are in the development space, with the British Council and what have you. Can you shed more light on these conversations with regards to PWAs and the SDGs?
In terms of the SDG, PWs and SD, one of its values is equality and diversity, and they are very big on that. So you can see, you can actually see from how they interact with PWA, because there's something they do every year in British Council. We have what internships, which people apply, and maybe for 1 year you work under some certain team, British Council, and from that most people of albinism, they usually reach out to people of albinism. Currently, there are 5 of us. There are 5 of us who are PWAs, and we're actually benefiting from this.
Okay.
2 of us are actually So I think 2 of us are actually full-time staff, while the rest of us are interns. And actually,
Okay.
the environment there is actually very accommodating because it has everything at your disposal. So in terms of reducing inequality, I think where I work, the British Council has been able to bridge that gap.
Okay. So thank you very much. Now, wrap up with regards to
Sorry, we can't hear you.
Sorry, we can't hear you. You're echoing. Your network is terrible. We can't hear you.
Hello, Bezier, please, your network.
Okay, guys, while we wait for Chimezie to come back, I think his network is terrible. Can we talk about albinism and education? What was your experience like in school? How did your teachers treat you? How did pupils treat you? How did parents treat you? Who wants to start, please? Grace?
Okay. Well, for me, I went to normal schools all the way through, from primary, secondary, university. And in primary, well, teachers, of course, didn't really understand what albinism was, but my mother was very vocal and she really had to talk to every teacher before I joined the class that this Grace has this condition called albinism, which limits how well she can see. So I had to sit in front in class, and that's something I got used to even up to now in university when I can still sit far and be able to see. But at least with that prior information from my mother to the teachers, it helped the teachers now ask me, can you be able to see well? And sometimes when they forgot and they'll write very small letters on the board, I'll tell them, I'm sorry, I can't see well, or please voice out whatever you're writing so that I can be able to follow. That was primary school, and that's elementary and all that. So when I went to secondary, things were a bit different because now there my mother could not really tell the teachers that Grace cannot see well and explain the condition itself. So I was on my own, so to say. There in Kenya at that time, 2011, 2012, there, things were a bit different in terms of albinism. And it was either you can see 100% or you cannot see at all, meaning you're blind. There was no gray area for us to fall into. So I was classified as a blind student and I had to learn Braille. And that was a bit challenging for me because in all my life, for my first 11 years of learning, I really didn't go through that and I didn't understand why, but that was a policy at that time. So I had to do Braille and I did my exams in Braille. But afterwards in university, now things went back to normal and I went back to print. So normally what I tell people with albinism is that at least that integrated system of learning is very important. And people with albinism should not go to schools for the blind or have to be taught in Braille because that is only for that period. And if you can see well with glasses and all other assistive devices like telescopes or those the monocular, as Ike was saying, it helps us be able to compete with the others favorably. So that was my experience as far as education was concerned.
Why your teachers, do you think you got special treatment for being an albino? Did your friends like you? Did you make friends easily?
Well, since I was the only student with albinism in school and everyone else was, let's say, dark, there was that fascination in that, why are you white? And then funny enough, the principal of that school was half Chinese, half American. So everyone thought I am her daughter. So there was no bullying per se. There was just that fascination of, why is your skin like this? Why can we see your veins so clearly? But there was no bullying, because I think I came from a very at least accommodating parental environment, and I had that love and acceptance, and that's different from everyone, because the experience you have when you're born and in your family, it really shapes how you see yourself outside the home environment. So for me, I had a very accepting and loving family, and that didn't really make me feel different when I went out there, and I didn't really face any discrimination from students, just a bit of misunderstanding from teachers, but they learned along the way, and that is expected. But children are very, very innocent, and there was no bullying or discrimination at all. Yeah.
Okay. Yalo, do you have a different experience from Grace?
Mine is the same. The primary phase is the same. Secondary, it was a little bit hard, but I had a doctor who called the school and life became a little bit easier. So the teacher started assisting me when I went to secondary school. Tertiary, it's the same. That's where I got my binoculars. These are two. They have two, like it's like a monocular, but they are two. So my experience is similar to Grace. So yeah, I think it wasn't as bad as everyone's. I think I coped, and I wasn't really bullied. I became a bully because it's either you take the other side or not. So I joined the bullying group, so people stopped calling all these things, and eventually everything went smooth. My education was really smooth. I didn't have problems, major problems. Oh no, man.
Newton, experience in school. Thank you, Yalo.
School has been very, very tough growing from infancy. You guys, growing from a community where no person with albinism is being born in that community. The level of teachers' understanding on albinism, how to cater for a person with albinism, a child with albinism in a school, had been very tough. It got to a time when you need to rely on friends to copy your assignments and even to examination. One of those days when we're schooling, but at the primary education level, you realize that all examinations are being written on the chalkboard. And the teacher, without the knowledge of albinism, will ask the treat albinism child as as a mainstream child, and even ask the child with albinism, that is me, to sit even behind. And I just like the way my sister put it, that the situation compelled her to be a bully. Yes, because you realize that if you are not very smart, the system will overcome you. So I struggle from primary education to the university to university until I got a mercy. So advocacy starts from the university. That's the tertiary education level, when we started the crusade of support for persons with albinism. And today, I am very, very happy that yes, the education and the sensitization of teachers on handling children with albinism is going down well in Ghana, and I pray that my children and grandchildren will not suffer from this ill treatment as far as education is concerned. Mind you, education is the foundation to life, and without education, persons with albinism becomes meaningless. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bumi. Bumi, you're privileged, but let's hear about your education, your primary and secondary and even tertiary education.
Bumi's privileged, I never knew.
Bumi is, Bumi, did they sing Oyiwo Pepper for you? Were you bullied? Were you harassed?
So I would say that yes. My primary school, I went to one of the top primary schools in Nigeria, That's
You
definitely.
see,
But
privilege.
yes, indeed, there was privilege in that part, but I would say that there was still a lot of misunderstanding about albinism and the fact that I couldn't see. So because I was sitting right in front of the class, but I still couldn't see the board well enough, especially if the teacher wrote on the other side of the board, I would still be lost. So in that regard, you know, it still definitely did have an effect on my learning, because people would just get things so much faster. And then the teacher would call me and say, answer this question. The question is on the other side of the board. And he had given the instructions. I couldn't even follow along. And for fear of being embarrassed, I would not say anything. I would keep mute rather than I would prefer to be called dumb rather than, you know, open up my mouth and confirm it, you know. So secondary school was much more difficult, because then I moved to a public secondary school. I guess you could call it a public secondary school. I don't know. It's semi-private, owned by university anyway, where we had large class sizes. Teachers wrote on the board. They wrote all their notes on the board. So even when I was sitting in front, even with my glasses, they had such tiny handwriting, I literally could not see. And I still depended on people to borrow me their notes. And that dependency was a cause of irritation for many people. Or maybe I would be lucky enough to get the occasional kind teacher who would say, take my notes and copy from me, you know. So things, even, you know, and of course, my parents did talk to the schools. Some teachers tried to make some accommodation, but because many people just really, and you know, I'm going to make a bit of a detour here and say that the issue of disability or not, it's when we say that we're fighting for it to be considered a disability, and thankfully it is considered a disability, we're not fighting for pity. We're not saying that pity me, oh, look at me, I have a disability, pity me. No, we're saying that an accommodation has to be made, because there is a particular structure in my body that limits me from engaging fully in the way that a normal sighted or a child with melanin would be able to engage in. So that's to that extent, I would say that yes, let's please continue to consider albinism as a disability, not because we are looking for pity, but it's a vehicle. It's a vehicle through which we can be assisted to function normally like other people. So please, it's not a pity party. It's not a
Thank you very much for your statements. In rounding up this session in the next 5 to 7 minutes, I'd like to take your closing statements. In your closing statements, I'd like you to tell us about the level of cooperation between the NGOs, the CSOs in your respective countries and the government in ensuring that persons with albinism enjoy their rights first as humans, you know, and as citizens of their respective countries. If you also could highlight on what the government is doing to tackle the menace of hunting PWAs, you know, hunting their body parts to, you know, for the very many mythical purposes, you know, for ritual purposes, for money making, whatever. What is your government doing about it? I'll start from Grace Nzomo. What is the situation in Kenya as you round up?
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, there is a national body mandated to at least address the needs of people with albinism inside the umbrella of disability. And they have done a lot in terms of also creating awareness to employers and to other people with albinism as well. The only thing I would add in that there's a gap in terms of policies. And as Bumi said, yes, we have beautiful projects written on paper, but implementation is really, really wanting. So I think that's the only challenge we have in terms of implementation of all these policies that are there. And there's so many laws. Employers are encouraged to employ people with disabilities, employ people with albinism, there's a gap there. There are very few organizations that are employing people with albinism, and that affects now people with albinism, and it creates another stereotype that everyone sees people with albinism as poor and beneath them, simply because no one is really willing to employ them, and that also now puts them in that kind of situation. In terms of education accessibility, there's also a huge gap because schools are not being sort of forced to take up more students with albinism and also change and accommodate the environment to accommodate their learning needs. So that is also one thing here. But we have come a long way, and I really thank the national government for the steps it has taken in terms of that. My other message to now directly people with albinism is that you have to speak up for your rights. No one can do it for you. No one will really hand you anything on a platter. So you have to make sure that you understand yourself, you educate yourself, and you go out into the world ready to take it on, because everything is there for you to use. Parents of children with albinism, please provide the right environment for your child, because that is the first environment they're exposed to. If they don't feel accepted in the house, at home, when they go out there, they will look for acceptance elsewhere. So parents, please accept your children and encourage them to really bloom and open up to be the best person they can be, and they will show you that is very, very important to do that.
Thank you very much, Grace. We will take Yalo. Yalo?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Okay. The government has done so much for us in terms of meeting our educational needs, our medical needs. I think for Namibia it's slightly different because we don't really have persecutions and body hunting and killing. We have skin cancer. That's the main thing that's happening here. So, and we've been raising more awareness on that and how people should take care of their skins and just avoid the sun. Also, the government has progressive legislations that are going on, and they really do so much for us. I think the problem is within us because we are not proactive. We do not want to think out of the box. We are too comfortable with what's going on. So I would want to ask people with albinism to be the voice that's necessary to raise more awareness, to continue educating people, and just stand and believe that you're made to shine and just be yourself.
Thank you very much, Yalo. Brenda? Please unmute. Please unmute your yes. Hello, Brenda. Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. Go ahead, Brenda.
I think her mic is on mute.
Please.
Or is it from your side, Chimeze?
I think it's from hers, not mine.
Okay.
Brenda's mic is muted. Oh no, she unmuted now.
Yes,
Hello.
Brenda, we can hear you now.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, I've missed a lot of things and my heart was burning. Okay.
We're here.
Can you imagine? I left sustainable development goals. I left education, but it's fine. I can just make a final statement.
Please, you can incorporate them.
Mm-hmm. So I think as our other colleagues said, things should be implemented. Yes, they can be put in writing, but if they are not implemented, we cannot do anything. So what I can say is it's our duty as persons with albinism to unite, first of all, and make a difference to our fellow young brothers and sisters with albinism. And we can even advocate for them and make sure that they've rendered they are going to school nicely, they are doing everything nicely. Otherwise, alone we cannot do it. And can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So I was saying, the thing, like, for example, everything, like most of the things for persons with albinism in Zimbabwe, honestly speaking, we are putting up policies, our government is putting up policies, the disability bill and everything, so that people with albinism will also enjoy their rights and claim their rightful place in the society. So I think what we can do is we have to know that we were made to shine and we were born for success and unimaginable greatness as persons with albinism. So please, let's not give up. Let's knock on the doors which other people fear to approach. I think that's what I can say.
Thank you very much, Brenda. Newton. Newton, you're next.
A little guidance from, repeat the questions a little so that I can just try to digest.
So we're talking about your closing statements. And in your closing statements, we'd like to know what your country is doing with regards to what is the level of collaboration between the NGOs and CSOs and the government, ensuring that PWAs enjoy their rights and as human beings, you know, rights that are enshrined under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and then, of course, your country's constitution.
Thank you very much, Jules. Yes. I've got the impasse of the question, sir. Yes, please. The government collaboration within the Albinism Association in Ghana here is very appalling. That is one. But in terms of CSO collaboration, I must say that we have a very strong CSO collaboration in fight for the rights of persons with albinism in Ghana, as is enshrined in the UN Declaration and even enshrined in our disability laws. But it's good to note that these factors will not yield any result without the concerted effort of governments to collaborate with persons with albinism and disability fraternity. Unlike Namibia, which is one of my countries that are jealous, we have the better system. So when my sister Grace is speaking, she speaks with confidence, and I just like that passion. It's compared to Namibia.
Thank you.
They've gone. It's like Namibia is many steps ahead of the rest of Africa.
Yes. And then the Kenyan wanted to emulate Namibia, but I bet you it will take them years to get there. But I'm having a vision that with the African Union for Persons with Albinism, IUPA, of which Brenda is a member, executive member, will pursue the agenda of having a country-specific and then the countries that adopt very good principles of the mainstreaming of issues of albinism in the continent. And that is the motive for coming together with a continental body for albinism. And that is also the main motive of coming together with a global umbrella of albinism that will fast track all these issues to just check that there's the policy the treaty that we signed on to, how do we implement those things? Yes, the gap that we have as African, as global fighters, is that the implementation of our policies and programs, and as well as funding, is our problem. It is not everything that we demand funding for. Even the voice is much better enough for us to. So I call on governments and other institutions to join to collaborate with albinism organizations irrespective of their country. But on this note, let me also congratulate Open Society for West Africa and Amnesty International, Ghana SHRAJ, and that is Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, and the Ghana Police Service for their support and in fighting for the cause of albinism in Ghana and in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Newton. Yalo, closing statement. Yeah.
I did give my closing statements.
Have you? Who am I missing?
I did.
Okay, Yalo, Grace, okay, Brenda, Dan, Newton. Okay, let's take Onome. Madam Edie. That's what I call her, Madame Edie.
Should all call her that.
She's Madame Executive Director, you know.
Okay, so for me, I would like to encourage the Nigerian government to help persons living with albinism, to help PWAs. A lot of people that come to us have difficulties with getting the most basic things like sunscreen, eyeglasses, and we know that it's expensive, but if they could give like a discount or something, or like at a low rate, especially to PWAs from low-income homes. Lagos State is trying to do better. There's something called LASUDA. They're trying to do better. They're trying to take care of persons with albinism better. But other states governments, they're trying to catch up. I think there's a national albinism law in place. So Nigeria is catching up, and we are not asking for special treatment, really. We're just asking that please make some things at a subsidized rate, especially for people that cannot afford it and really need it, things like sunscreen. And then lastly, I would like to say for PWAs, it's important to surround yourself with people that support you, people that are comfortable with you, people that make you comfortable in your skin, people that hype you, people that love you, people that won't speak ill of you. I am very big on self-love. I'm very big on self-confidence. It is important for you to know that nobody can define you. You are a masterpiece. You are made to shine. You have overcome so many challenges and obstacles growing up, and even in your day-to-day activities, that really just know that you can do anything you set your mind to. And I would always say this: you are in the best place to enlighten someone. You're in the best place to educate someone. You're in the best place to change a perception, a negative perception. You're in the best place to change the story, to change the narrative. So no matter what, no matter the names thrown at you, no matter the name calling, no matter the bullying, hold your head high and always, always, always choose kindness. If you choose kindness, and if you are proud of yourself, and if you love yourself, I know that there are hard days, but trust me, you can overcome anything. And I would also like to appeal to parents and family members with love. If you show us so much love and so much support, trust me, no matter what the world throws at us, we're good. So yeah, that's from me. Thank you.
You all see why I call her Madam Executive Director.
Now we understand.
Okay, people. All right, so we'll take Bumi, and then we'll go God's gift to girls, and then we'll throw the floor open as we wrap. And then Chidera will come with a poem. We'll take few comments from our participants, and it will be a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Bumi.
Yes. Thank you very much, everyone. So there are two analogies I want to quickly make. One, the way I think about the advocacy, albinism advocacy, is very similar to the civil rights movement that happened in the United States, where people fought against discrimination based on a physical condition that someone had. In that instance, Martin Luther King Jr. fought against, and so many other people fought against discrimination against people based on the color of their skin. And we in the PWA community, we are facing those same issues in addition to us getting the same. So there it was a white versus black issue. Here, it's not just a white versus black issue. It's also actually a black on inflicting the same issues on us that the civil rights movement is fighting for, right? So this in albinism is absolutely critical, absolutely critical. And I would say finally, any conversation that we'll have must include us. People in the PWA community, let's think of this slogan: no conversation about us without us. So that means that we have to put our voices forward. We have to put our voice forward. We have to bring our issues to the ground. And just as Martin Luther King was able to bring about a movement that caused a shift in an entire nation, the same way those of us, either people with albinism or those our supporters, our allies, we can cause a drastic shift in the way we are perceived, in the way we are treated, and ultimately people will see that yes, there is a group of people with fantastic things to add to human society, but their voices must be heard, and we will ensure that their voices are heard. So thank you very much to OAM. Real great work that you're doing. Please, let's do more with government advocacy. And I'm putting a plug here. If you need an inroad into the Lagos State government, just reach out to me. I'm happy to do that. Thank you
We
so
are
much.
taking you up on your offer, Bumi. Once we're done with this conversation, we're taking that conversation offline. For us, this is one of the essence of having this conversation. Part of what I would ask as we wrap up is, how often should we have conversations like this? Should we wait till every 13th of June every year, or should we make this conversation something that is ongoing, as we move on in the advocacy, in the albinism advocacy? So we will talk about that shortly. I'll take Ugo quickly.
All right. Gentlemen and ladies, thank you so much for this platform and this forum. It's been awesome having everybody here. I hope you all can hear me.
We can.
Okay. Now, this issue about albinism and what persons with albinism face all over the world, and Africa in particular, is something that brings to mind the reality about life. In my opinion, life is not fair, whether we like it or not. So it beckons on us to do what we can do in our space
we can't
to
hear
survive. My you can't hear me? Hello?
We can hear you. Just increase your volume.
Grace, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Just speak a bit
Yes,
louder.
I can hear you. I can hear you
Louder.
as well.
Yes.
Okay. Now, as I was saying, albinism brings to mind the reality about life is not fair. Growing up for me was not easy. I had my own fair share of sitting close to the board. And being the first child in my family, my parents had a hard time understanding. But thank God, with time and with interest, I had to overcome it. And that is why OAM Foundation is here to take it from the scratch. We deal with the younger ones. We go to schools. We enlighten their teachers and fellow pupils and students. Because the truth of the matter is, even with the level of education that some people have, they still find it difficult to comprehend what albinism is all about. So we keep pushing because we are made to shine. Thank you. Thank you very much, Meze. Hello.
Has everybody, Ejike, are you with us? We seem to have lost Ejike. I think everybody has gone around. That leaves us with Chidera. Hi, Chidera. Chidera is our youngest panelist. She has been having issues joining us. Chidera, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, Chidera.
Hi. So Chidera, basically, we need you to wrap up with, tell us about living with albinism for your age group, and then read your poem.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Onome Chidera Favor. I'm a 16-year-old PWA. I'm a Nigerian. Living with albinism has been a good experience for me as a teenager. Yes, with having to relate my experience with a lot of people, and in the process doing a sort of awareness to people. Living with albinism, I realized as a teenager living with albinism, I realized that I really have to do this, this awareness to each teenager, each person I meet who doesn't have this awareness or who doesn't have this experience with any albino or PWA before. So I try to make an awareness to that person on the first meeting. So, okay, each time, okay, in school, let me say, living with albinism as a teenager in school, it's normal for people, for students, for friends to like bring this jesty comments towards you or throw it to your face like you can't see, or something like, look at the sun, are you seeing an aeroplane pass, or something like that. But it's up to you the way you react to these kinds of things. Yeah, it depends on your reaction, the way you attend to them, the way you, yes, that's it. And on the issue of visual problems, vision problems, it's normal for PWA to have vision problems. Yes. I heard the past speakers speak on the issue of them sitting at the front seat in class. It's normal. Yes, it's normal. And dermatological conditions like conditions which could only be corrected with the use of sunblocks, sunscreens, and protective clothing, long sleeve, and overall avoiding sun. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. We know that one of your biggest support system is your mom, and your mom has been very supportive, and your dad also. Can you tell us what that has been for you, having the love and support of your parents? Has it affected you positively? Has it changed the way you see yourself?
Okay, having a very supportive and loving family, it has helped me to gather plenty of confidence in myself that I'm made to shine. Yes, it has affected me positively, helped me in growing. It has helped in growing me as a good young teenage PWA. Yes, that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. So now we can have your poem.
Okay. Good day, everyone. My name is Onome Akinlolu again. I'm a 16-year-old Nigerian and a PWA. I have a poem I'd love to share with you all. But before I proceed, I'd love to say a few things on albinism. First of all, albinism is an inherited genetic condition which is characterized by lack or an insufficient melanin, or lack or reduced amount of melanin pigment in the skin, hair, and eyes. The rate albinism occurs in about 1 in 4,000 people in South Africa, 1 in 5,000 people in Nigeria, 1 in 18,000 to 20,000 people in North America and Europe, 1 in 17,000 to 20,000 people in USA, 1 in 5,000 to 15,000 people in Africa, and about 1 in 20,000 people in the world. This statistic indicates that PWAs are few, and I think it's one major reasons why PWA are born to shine. I'm in a family of 6. I'm the first of 4 children and the only PWA. With enough encouragement and support from my parents and siblings, I've been able to gather plenty of confidence that I'm born to shine. This leads me to my poem, Made to Shine. Let there be light, said the Lord. Less than a second's count, the light came forth. Made for a purpose, we are born stars. Not made to stay below, we are born to shine. What people think of us doesn't change who we are. Still standing strong, we are Imole, the light. Just some hints to shine this light. Look beyond the complexion, you see the light. Just believe within yourself that you're born to shine this light. You're born a shining star and you're born to make things right. That you're first of your kind and you're second to none. And you've got to shine because you're made to shine. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow, that is
Wow.
Beautiful.
Lovely.
That was nice.
Thank you so much.
Do we have AGK to give us his closing statement? AGK, I can see that you've unmuted your mic. I think he's trying to turn on his video.
I don't think AGK is on. Is it on?
I do not think so, actually. Okay, then. I think that we can move to the questions and answer segment for now. Let me check if we have questions for the panelists. Okay, so any of you can answer this. In my country, we really do not have killings of persons with albinism. So out of the panelists, there's a question that states, what has been done about the killings of people with albinism? Can anyone take that, please?
Yes, killings, what has been done to persons that are the killings of persons with albinism in our campus. I'm speaking from an African perspective across Africa. With the happenings in Malawi, taking Malawi as a case study, the justice system is not all that accessible to prosecute persons who were perpetrators of this heinous crime. The justice system normally finds no fault or much evidence against these people to help prosecute them. It aided at releasing them. So if we have a very strong justice system in our countries and our continent, I think perpetrators of this heinous crime will be dealt with. As compared to other countries, I know, yes, they need to justify the claims of this sort of murders. But up to what extent? If you have so many factors, politically motivated or anything that you can talk about, but we're advocating for a stronger judicial system to prosecute these people.
Thank you, Newton. Does any other person have a comment on that? Does anyone want to speak to that? Any other one from the panel? Okay. Our next question. Oh, yes. Okay, who's that?
Oh, that was me. No, I was going to say that there's just very, reading reports from some of the worst hit places, Tanzania, Malawi, suggests that yes, those governments are slowly coming into bringing justice for people with albinism. The last one, which occurred about 4 weeks ago, the last killing report about 3-4 weeks ago, is that, but has much been done? Unfortunately, in the context of Africa, many crimes go unpunished, which further deepen the problem because people see that they can get away with this. And what is even scarier is that in countries like Tanzania or Malawi, the people who purportedly perpetrate these crimes are very highly placed, just the everyday Joe walking on the street, but they're apparently highly placed politicians who do. And I will encourage anyone, please, there's a BBC documentary on this. I can't remember the name right now, but if you have access to YouTube, search it out. There's a BBC documentary on killings of persons with albinism in Africa. It's absolutely cheap and will even highlight the problem more, so that we really have to fight this. Really have to. Thank you.
Thank you, Bumi. Our next question is, what is the experience of different personalities of albinism and religion? Does anybody want to take that? I think most of us on the panel are Christians, right?
I mean, hi, Onome. Yes, please go ahead. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Who, me?
Okay.
All right. Albinism and religion. This question strikes me because of a friend I have. It's been a while we saw each other. He's a lecturer in University of Lagos. He's a PWA. Someone may know him. He's a prof there. This man used to be a Christian, but he later changed his religious orientation, and he's now an atheist. His reason is that if truly there's God, then there won't be albinism or persons with albinism. That
What?
God is supposed to be perfect. I'm just telling you what he told me.
What? Can
He's
you
a
repeat
professor
again?
of philosophy. Now, this man who is a professor of philosophy in one of our universities here is an atheist.
He's an atheist.
And he gives his reason for not believing in God based on the fact that he's a PWA, and that if God truly exists, then there shouldn't be a PWA, that God is supposed to be a perfect God and everything he makes should be perfect. So if God is God, why is there PWA? Why are people born not having melanin? And that is just his singular. Now different people, I'm not saying that different people have their, and social perceptions about issues because of the way they find themselves. While some will go the other way around and say, because I am this way, I believe that I am beautifully and wonderfully created. So it's all in the mind. That is just it.
Okay, guys, and the final question before we end this is albinism and employment. Has anyone on the panel experienced discrimination or stigmatization when they try to get a job? Has it been easy for you to job hunt and get a job? Have you been treated differently in the workplace because you are?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Grace. Okay, I think the panel.
I have my
experience. Okay, everybody has an experience.
I have my experience.
Guys, listen. I will Grace and then move to Brenda, move to Newton, move to Mr. Ogo, move to Yalu, move to Bumi, and then we'll wrap this up. Miss Grace, you have the floor. Oh, I thought Chidera is too young. She can't take this. Grace, please, over to you. Albinism and employment.
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, albinism and discrimination, I really didn't face much discrimination when I was younger in primary school, actually during my school life. It was basically just the fascination, the innocence of children and all that. But of course, I've realized as I'm an adult and walking around, people have various misunderstandings about albinism, and you'll walk around and you'll hear someone throwing an insult or a comment. So sometimes I respond, but it depends. But I really try to be very calm about it. Yes, not so much discrimination, just normally the ignorance that faces the condition, that's what I go through.
So Grace, you haven't experienced any, what should I call it? You haven't been favored because you have albinism. No, you haven't been treated differently in the workplace. You've been treated the same as your equal and as your other peers.
Yes, because as I also mentioned, how you present yourself. If you present yourself as someone to be pitied, then that's how the world will take you. But if you present yourself as a person who understands her condition and also communicates how you can be accommodated, then at least the people around you will accommodate you as you tell them about your condition and how they can be able to assist you navigate.
Okay, yes, thank you very much. Brenda, over to you.
Okay, personally, I faced discrimination when trying to get employment. The first one, it was a supermarket thing. I did my till operating, I did everything. Then when it came to look for that job, this person didn't know me that I'm a person with albinism, because sometimes you don't have to be specific when you're looking for job. When they said you need to call. So I didn't explain about albinism, but he already said, you got the job, Brenda, now you can come. I went with my papers, I went with everything. He was surprised to see me. And he said, no, we are opening another supermarket. Can you imagine, how do you feel when someone says, we are opening another supermarket? I don't think you are the right person for now. We are looking for people, you see? So that was the question. And I said, okay, you're looking for, this means that I'm not a person as well. The other thing is I did as well cosmetology. I was trying to look again for that kind of job. And I just stepped into that beauty parlor. And the first thing was like, oh, what can she do? That's why sometimes, you know, I defend myself about this disability thing, because sometimes some people, what you have instilled in the community that persons with albinism are disabled people. Some people, they will just take that word saying, what can she do? She's somebody with disability. Why don't the government just give them food at their houses? That's why sometimes I try to say, let's educate again the community about part of our disability so that they can understand, because if we're just saying these are disabled people, it's just disabled, and the community doesn't know what kind of disability, you see. So I've been discriminated, but now, thank God, I'm a registered general nurse. As I say, that you have to take whatever, like the passion, everything, to just show the community that no, I can do this. So people regarded me as like, oh, she has eyesight, but she cannot go for nursing. How can she inject someone? She can't. But as for me, I said, no, I can. I went and talked to this chief executive officer of that hospital saying, give me a chance before you judge me. Don't judge me before you see what I can do. But thank God I was the best candidate, even in my class, even if when it comes to practicals, I was the best student, because sometimes you'll be wanting to show people that, no, but I can. You're saying I can't, but me, I can. So that's the challenge that I faced. Unfortunately, I couldn't share with you during my education. I went back to school at the age of 27 because of that discrimination. I can't repeat what we've already done, but yes, that's where I came from. So we just need to fight as persons with albinism. But now it depends with the fight, because we are saying, hey, as a person with albinism, you have to fight, you have to do. But remember, they are 16-year-old person who can't fight for yourself, you see. So it means that as leaders, old leaders, we have to fight for those people, because we cannot say, you have to instill confidence within yourself. How can a 13-year-old instill confidence within herself when she goes out there? She can't go with her parents, you see. So, yeah, that's what I can say. When it comes to employment, that's what I can say.
Thank you, Brenda. So basically what you're telling us is you rose above, you kept pushing, you kept trying, and you kept doing and being better. Thank you very much. Over to you, Bumi, albinism and employment, albinism in the workplace.
Yes, thank you very much. I personally don't recall ever facing any overt discrimination as a result of albinism. Nobody has ever told me that I can't hire you because you have albinism. So I haven't had that experience. Maybe covert discrimination. People just have, and that is, you know, as a result of societal and cultural influences that influence the way people react to people with albinism. But no, I can't say that I've experienced any overt, but I've heard stories of people who have faced overt discrimination. And again, I have to be very clear about there's something that, by dint of the fact that some people with albinism have a certain kind of look. For instance, maybe they have warts on their skin or something like that. That is already a big challenge for many people who they see, who may want to employ, because they look, and unfortunately we are human. We look at the face, we look at the physical, first impressions do matter. And that's what is so unfortunate about the whole condition, is that many people are judged because they go through something that is really no fault of theirs. It's no fault of theirs that they get bad sunburn, and because of that, they can get moles or warts. But many people judge people on people who face discrimination at work by virtue of the fact that they have albinism. And unfortunately, it's usually at the lower levels of the socioeconomic ladder that this happens. So those are the people that we need to really reach out to. Those people at that level, people who think at that level, who operate at that level, are people we really, really need to reach out to. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Bumi. So basically what I hear you say is it's all about, apart from doing your very best, it's all about your appearance, it's all about packaging, it's all about giving your best and looking your best. That is fantastic advice. Thank you very much. Hello, my darling. I'll be in the place.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I traveled for, when I graduated, I started hunting for a job, and then I got this one call to go for an interview. I traveled from the city, because I currently live in the city, to the northern part of Namibia. So when I got to the interview, when the men saw me, no, there are two pigmented people in front of me. So they did the whole interview. So when the men saw me, he literally said, no, we got our best candidate and we are not interviewing anymore, so all of you can go home. And I was the only last person that was there. I did lay a complaint. Yeah. So I laid a complaint, and they took it up. They called the company, and the company called back for me to go for an interview. But by the time they called me, I had gotten a job elsewhere. Another one, I applied to work for a certain mine, not as in the mine, just to do the admin work and whatnot. That was when I was a student. They decided they are not going to write for me a medical condition letter, because you usually go through the testing of your eyes, your ears, and all these things. But they decided you're not going to go through any of those, because we already know your eyesight, so we won't do that. So discrimination at work, it is there. I have experienced that.
Hey.
So yeah.
Hello. Next, I have Newton from Ghana. Mr. Newton, over to you.
Who?
Newton.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
For me, I may say I'm very lucky. From the tertiary education level, I got directly employed by the government, and I have not faced any discrimination in assessing job. But I may say that discrimination is not even at a point when you are assessing a job, you are looking for a job, but on the field of work. How do your people look at you? Yes, I quite remember one of the days, and I was in a class teaching. Mind you, I'm a professional teacher in a way, educationist. And I was in a class teaching, and most of my colleague teachers would like to see what I actually am doing in the class. So they will come and pretend to be going around the place and just pretend to be doing something. But it got to a point, I have proven them wrong.
Okay.
At website, I became one of the hot kick because of the hard work, the zeal that you put into the work. I'm still on top of.
All right.
Issues as far as my work is concerned. I have a principle that I work.
Thank you. That leaves us with Mr. Ugo. Albinism in the workplace, albinism and getting a job.
I'll be very brief because of time.
Yes,
now,
please.
in my own, just like what Newton said, it's not only about getting the job. It's what you face in the field of work. I remember my first job in a construction company in Abuja, which is owned by some Egyptians, you know. I got the job through a friend of my dad. And while I was there, I observed, because by my nature, I'm a very meticulous person, because anything I want to do it well. You know, I pay attention to details. But I noticed that the system there wasn't what I expected. A lot of people were so laid back, but I will want to do things right. Then they now took this, out on me. You hear some subtle name calling, some side talks. It got to a point that, in fact, I wasn't using glasses. Some will start making that sign of, the nystagmus. They say, look at his eyes, watch him. Just go and talk to him and watch him. You see his eyes. Such thing. From there, the thing got to my boss, who is an Egyptian. And I noticed, because I don't really understand Arab language, they'll call me into their office, two of them, and with the pretense of wanting to ask me question, they'll start speaking their language, and that guy will start doing like this way, But I got the message. And that is that. Then in another aspect, you see what I call reverse discrimination, where people patronize you. You meet somebody and they say, oh, you look good. Meaning that you look different from the norm, what they expect a normal PWA should look like. Because to them, a normal PWA doesn't look good because of the skin and what the sun has done to them. They say you look good. I feel it's patronizing. When people say that all the time, they say, no, you look good. You look different from the people I always see. But I take my time to educate them.
Okay. Thank you
So
very
that
much,
is
Mr.
it
Ugo.
in a nutshell.
All right. Thank you very much. Everyone, thank you so much. It's different time zones across the continent and across the globe, and you've stayed put, you've joined us, you have you have joined the conversation. We really are grateful from all of us at the Onome Akinlolu Majaro Foundation. Really are very, very grateful to have you join us. To all our attendees, I see some hands still up. Perhaps we would put up our email address. If you have questions, you send us your questions. Follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook. We'll take the conversations, away from Zoom and onto these platforms. Grace, Brenda, Newton, Bumi, Yalo, AGK, Onome, Ugo, I'd like to thank you very much. You have all agreed that we should have these conversations as often as we can. So perhaps we will take this one for this quarter. In the next quarter, we would sit down and agree on another conversation to be held. And when we come calling, we hope you'll oblige us and answer us, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
So I'll start. Grace from Kenya, please say goodbye to us in English and in your native language, and then you can take your leave.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for joining us. In Swahili, we say kwaheri, and because it's late at night, we say sleep well. I am not sure. Usiku mwema. Yes.
Bye, Grace.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Grace.
Bye, Grace.
Bye, Grace.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, Brenda, quickly.
Okay, goodbye to everyone. It was nice to meeting you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Network.
Newton, quickly.
That's good. Thank you very much for hosting, and I wish you all the best. In my local language, I would say "Nyaduagbe maune for me" means sleep well. May God be with us.
Medasewai. All right. Ciao. Yalo.
Thank you for the engagement, guys. In my language, we would say "tokeripo nawa."
Wow.
What?
Sounds yummy.
Tokeripo nawa.
Tokeripo nawa. Tokeripo nawa. Yes.
I will come to your country.
You should come visit.
Yes.
Who's next? Meze?
Ugo is next.
Miss Yu is next. Let's take
Okay.
Chidera to say good night and thank everyone for having us.
Chidera there?
Yes.
Okay. Say your goodbye.
Okay, goodbye everyone. Thank you for leaving out time to attend this program. In our language, it's Kachifu.
Hi, Chidera.
Oh. Do we have Buni?
Absolutely, yes. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, OAM. It was such a beautiful experience. Goodbye, everyone. And in Yoruba, it's Odabo, which means till we see again.
Okay. Do we have HK?
Odabo.
Odabo. I think HK is having some network issues. Do we have Mr. Ugo?
All right. I will say my goodbyes. I want to thank everybody. Everybody, I want to, on behalf of OAM Foundation, I want to say a very big thank you to all our panelists, from Grace to Yellow, Newton, Bumi, the other guy from Zambia.
Okay.
I want to thank you for honoring and gracing this occasion. It's been an awesome experience. So for my goodbyes, I will say, Ndewono Kachibo. That is Igbo language from the southern eastern part of Nigeria.
Thank you, Mr. Ugo. I see that we have Ejike on the line. Ejike, over to you. Ejike, we can barely hear you. Please unmute your mic. Okay.
Onome, let's hear you.
Okay. So thank you, everyone. It has been a privilege to carry you along this webinar and to engage you. Thank you to my panelists from across the continent. I am truly grateful for all the attendees and for everyone else who part in this. Thank you all so very much. And we look forward to engaging you in the next year or next month, the next couple of months. Thank you all so very much. And remember, always choose kindness. Kindness changes everything. Thank you. Good night.
Okay,
night,
thank you very much,
Onome.
Onome. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. It's been an awesome experience. To apologize for the seeming hiccups. The seeming hiccups that you experienced. We hope to make it better at our next edition. We look forward to having you join in the conversations online, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Find us at OAM Foundation, and we'll be more than glad to engage you on policy development, on issues pertaining to persons with albinism. My name is Chimize Udechukwu. It's been a pleasure being a moderator and host for this event. Thank you so much. Unado Esheun. Unado the Kachifo. Bye-bye.
I think Ejike, do you want to try one more time? Ejike, we can barely hear you though. Okay, guys, we're going to have to end this now. Ejike, I'm sorry we cannot hear you. I guess Ejike is trying to say thank you, everyone. It has been a privilege to have you on board, and he's signing out. Okay, thank you, guys. Good night. We wish you
good night.
Happy International Albinism Awareness.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Go pop your champagne on our behalf.
Bye, guys. Cheers.
Yes.
We're popping champagne.
That is in order.
Okay, guys. Oh, I have my management on the line now. Guys, this has been really awesome. Thank you for all that you do. And let's move to our group. Bye, guys.
Bye.